All right, what's up, buddy? How's it going? I'd call you by your name, but I have no fucking idea what it is. I've met you like 3 times now, and I've been told 4 different things, so...
Yeah, I often forget my name as well, so we're good.
So, can I have a name, or what do I call you this whole podcast? I don't really know.
Good set.
I like motherfucker. Yeah, is that cool? No?
I mean, if that's what you want to be called.
I mean, let me ask you a question, though. I got a serious question, though. So, that's like a derogatory term. Like, if I was to be mad at you, it'd be like, you motherfucker, right? Like, but in the same sense, you've got things like MILFs, right? Mothers I'd love to fuck. So I'm kind of confused. I'm a little like, why? Is it a good thing or is it a bad thing? Like, we brag about fucking mothers.
I think it's more so like the same thing that goes with like comedy and everything, and like racist comments. It's like the intent behind it that makes it weird. Like, you motherfucker, or motherfucker. You know? 2 completely different statements, just changed how you say it.
I feel like more impact would be like, you fucking faggot, like, you son of a bitch. You know, like, that's that's like, whoa, hold up, he definitely doesn't like me, we have a problem, you know, like, versus motherfucker, it's like, yeah, you know what, my wife's hot as shit, you know what I'm saying? Like, my baby mama's got it going. You damn right. Yeah. No.
Yeah, no, I same thing. And yeah, when you call someone a faggot too, I feel like that's a really, like, that's a hateful thing. Like, no matter how you say it. I don't think there's like a nice way of like, you're a faggot. Like, no. Like, those are fighting words.
He was just joking. That's a good one. And on that same topic, what blowjobs? Yeah. Have you ever gotten a blowjob before? Like, honestly, think about it. Have you ever gotten a blowjob?
Do you remember your first one?
I've never had one.
Oh.
What do you mean you've never had one?
No. I've literally never had a female get down between my legs and start blowing on my genitalia.
I have.
She blew on it.
It's soothing.
It's
like a candle, like a Christmas, like a birthday cake, and she was like, "Oh."
Look, I almost cut my dick off a year ago on a go-kart accident. All right, so I couldn't. There was nothing that involved stuff like that. So like the girl just went down and just.
All right, so you'd be like one of the first guys I know to ever get a blowjob.
All right, motherfucker. So tell us, what do you do? Chance told us nothing. You know, shout out to him. He always gets us guests, but like the guests that he gets us, he doesn't tell us shit about.
Nope.
He's just like, hey, you know, here you go. This person is cool. They do cool shit. You should interview them. But I don't fucking know what you do. I don't know what questions to ask you.
We don't know your name.
We don't know your name. All right, so I'm Jacob. Hey.
Oh, well, that was one of the 4 I was told.
Okay,
so.
all right.
1 out of 4, those are great odds. I'm Jacob. I don't know what I do. I just do me, I guess.
Are you?
So maybe he didn't know either.
So I've got this problem where I dabble in a whole lot of stuff. I just trying to find my way. So I guess by profession, right? Professionally speaking, in the professional world, if somebody was to employ me, I'm in management. So more specifically, project management. That's kind of cool.
Can you manage these nuts?
Yeah. No, absolutely. Totally.
So that's cool. That's kind of what Chance said a little bit about that. He said you do a little bit of everything. And I know when we talked before, you wanted to talk about like building credit and like, you know, adult shit at a younger age and all that kind of stuff. So like what made you want to choose this type of path? I mean, I assume you're bald, so you're kind of older. So like, what happened in your youth that made you realize like, oh shit, like I fucked my life up. I should have done credit sooner.
Yeah, man. So I turned 22 last year, and
I'm sorry.
No, just I'm 41.
Are you really?
No.
Jesus Christ, dude. Is your name even Jacob?
Yes. Or at least that's what the birth certificate says. Does anybody call me that? Questionable, very questionable. No, I'm pretty sure I did the math yesterday. Somebody asked me yesterday. I'm pretty sure I'm 29.
Okay. Yeah.
It gets a little hazy there.
I feel you. I think I turned 29 in like a month. I don't really even know my own age too. So like,
Yeah,
I
I
don't,
just turned 28.
I don't feel bad. I understand what you're saying.
After like 25, it got to the point where I really didn't like. I didn't feel accomplished. Like 26 came along, and it was like, damn, I'm kind of behind. Like I'm not nowhere where I wanted to be by 26. So I forget how old I am. We're just gonna keep things moving, you know.
Well, at 21 you could buy alcohol. At 25 you can rent a car, and then there ain't shit. And it's like you hit 40, and oh, you're old. You're over the hill. Like that's wow, great. And then maybe you hit 100. You might hit 100. Like that's the last one. Like I don't know.
Maybe retirement somewhere around 65. Maybe.
Yeah, I didn't even account for that.
See what happens. No. So yeah, I grew up poor-ish, I guess. I came out the mud. Definitely came out the mud. So that was fun. Ended up having a child young at 18. So that was also fun. And I was on my own. So that was raising a child with another woman on our own. Yeah. And you realize real quick that you were not prepared for life. Like the last 18 years were I don't know what we were prepping for, but it damn sure wasn't adulthood.
No.
So that's one of the things that it's taken me a long time to learn. And I feel like if I had known then what I know now, as I'm sure most people feel, like I would have been a lot further in life and done a lot more.
Absolutely.
And it's one of those things like I kind of stumbled onto everything. Like if you really want information, like sure we've got, the internet now, which is great and you can find some resources. However, oftentimes the resources are questionable. And if there really is any true value to it, often people want paid for it. Like we now live in an age of gurus and mentors where you have to pay for a mentor.
Well, and see that's a problem in itself too, because then you get those Ponzi schemes where it's that nothing at all, and you're paying for shit that you already knew, and you're just some fucking dude in a robe is telling you it like in a different way, and it makes you seem like, oh, this is new to me and it's so worth it. Like I'm so glad I paid $200 a month for this fucking dude in India to tell me how fucking great I am. Like, come on, dude, you should know this already. You shouldn't have to pay for that.
It's like getting an ice cream sundae and it's got majority of that sucker's whipped cream. Like it's all fluffing. There's no real substance to it.
Yeah.
No, it's disgusting and terrible, and I absolutely agree.
Yeah. So
like
it's hard. What's worth it?
To an extent, I feel like sure some knowledge should be shared, like and maybe have a price. Like obviously, there's a lot of people that have worked hard for the information that they obtain, and if you just started handing it out to everybody willy nilly, it kind of devalues it. Sure, but once again, how do you verify that? Like I can't go and verify. Like, hey, let me get a sample of your course or whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I agree with you. Definitely 100% very scammy. So I learned the hard way. That was fun.
So does he.
I have to do it the hard way or it doesn't stick. Like, I have to learn the hard way. So
that's fair.
it is what it is.
I still looking back now, I definitely there's some people I've had that are still close to me that have told me some stuff, and I should have definitely listened, and unfortunately did not, and was like, nah, I got this. You wrong. No, I was wrong.
That's why they say hindsight is 20/20. It always is.
Yeah. So credit really hit. I can remember being, I think I was about 21. And for the last couple of years, like I was a big cash only guy. My understanding of credit and whatnot was debt, and not in a good way, right? So you acquire debt, and then they charge you interest, and then you end up buying this item for $100, but at the end of the day, you end up paying $250 for it. And I'm big on the numbers. Like I've always been a numbers guy. I've always been like business minded. And that didn't buff. That didn't make sense to me. So if I didn't have the money for it right then and there, I wasn't buying it. But I was paying all my bills on time. So it came to a point I was working a job, and the boss comes to me on Friday, and he was like, hey, I need for you to have a truck by Monday, or you're going to need to find a new job.
Damn.
Oh, shit. Okay. all right, we're going to figure this out. So I'm scrambling to find a truck. And I was like, you know what? It would probably be smarter if I took on a truck payment versus shelling out my little savings nest egg I got on a truck, right? And I could probably buy a nicer truck if I could take out a loan. So I go to take out a loan, and they wouldn't give me the money because I had no credit. What do you mean no credit? I pay my electric bill on time. My phone bill on time. I paid my rent bill on time. I blown away by this, but none of that reports to the credit bureau, and nobody understands that. Like, how many other people are running around thinking they have credit?
Yeah, it's,
See, I didn't care at the time. I was, I don't need credit. What do you need credit for? I don't care. You know, if I don't got any credit, you can't have bad credit. Well, it turns out having no credit is worse than having bad credit. It's like,
100%.
Yeah, see, I was taught by my stepdad about credit very early, which was nice, but he also snuck in the whole, you're young, so, like, buy what you want to buy now, and then have it, and just pay it off now. So that philosophy was stuck in my mind, so here I am, 28 years old, trying to get out of all of that debt that I accumulated over the years by buying everything I ever wanted, because like you, I didn't have nice things. So when I got my first real job, oh my God, like the sky was the limit. I had fucking huge credit limits. I was like, fuck it, it's a $60 payment a month. It's not that big of a deal. Well, when you have 9 $60 payments, a car payment, that shit adds up real quick, and you're like, damn, it's Friday. I have $40 to eat for the next 2 weeks. Like, what the fuck do I do? You know, and so I agree that whole, like, that cash thing, it's a good way to do it, and, like, credit is a good way to do it as well. But, like, there's a fine line that, like, needs to be taught that, like, debt is okay. Kind of. You have to have credit, but you can't be in $30,000 of debt and living paycheck to paycheck and buying all these things you want. And it's hard because we live in a consumer reality where people are just forcing shit down your throat.
Well, then nothing's plain or, lasts anymore. You just throw it out. You don't fix it. You throw it out and you buy another one. You know? So.
No, all of those are great points, and I've been trying to for the longest because, like I said, I'm very business minded, and then I've got a lot of other things. I think some of my past plays into how I am now. So with being poor and whatnot, like I did the opposite of what you did. Like I started getting money and was like, I got to keep this. Like I got to keep this. I got to hoard this. No, we're not buying anything. Like I need new boots. Nah, we're good. We got like another month. Like and still to this day, like I do all right, but I still have that same mentality where I just hoard money. Like I can't. I've got, what is it?
Are you Jewish?
I'm a remorseful buyer. I got buyer's remorse all the time. So like I'll buy something, I'll be like, damn it, I shouldn't have bought it. I didn't really need it, or it might be Jewish. I'm not sure.
I'm the opposite. I have that mentality. Well, I get paid, not this Friday, I get this amount. I'll make up that money, or I'll do a little side job and make that extra money. And so, like, I always make it up, and like I'm always doing all right, but like I'm always spending that money.
That can be dangerous, though. One of my buddies, he got caught with that, and he's in the military, and he was supposed to go to get some extra training, and with that extra training comes some extra pays and whatnot, without having to dive into the details of everything. But he was going to get more money than normal. He was going to get things like per diem and things of that nature. So at the end of it, he was going to rack up a significant amount. So he was like, all right, cool, I'm going to go ahead and get this money. And then he made some purchases prior, and his egg never hatched.
Oh, yeah, see,
yeah.
no.
Well,
I don't ever do that.
That's one thing. A lot of the guys I work with were so heavy on overtime that their checks were so big, and they were spending that money.
Like it was that normal.
Yeah, and then COVID hit, and overtime got cut, and these guys were like, what the fuck do I do? Like, I can't afford this shit. Like, and that's one thing that I have always, tried to do is, you have a set paycheck. That's what you should only be spending, because that other shit isn't guaranteed, and it's a hard thing to fucking deal with when your checks are, $1,000 more because of overtime and you think you have more money. But in reality, like, that shit isn't going to last.
And that goes, so I think that goes hand in hand with budgeting, which is also another issue that we face. It touches on financials, how we do not prepare our population financially.
Not at all.
So budgeting is a huge thing, and there are so many people that do not budget properly. I've got a different way of budgeting. So I came out at 18 and I was on my own. And I had a baby on the way, and things got real. So I needed a big boy job, and I needed big boy money. So I ended up getting a job in the construction arena, with a small time general contracting business, and at the time I was at $10 an hour flat. Like, that's it. No OT, no nothing. Like, you work 40 hours, you get $10 an hour. You work 60 hours, you get $10 an hour. So I ground out for that $10 an hour, and I budgeted for a certain amount, and then I was on a 1099. So a 1099 means if you make $1,000 that week, we give you $1,000 that week.
Yeah, you have to take the taxes out.
But you need to take the taxes out. Now, thankfully, I had a decent boss who sat me down and was like, hey, so I'm going to give you the heads up on this. You're going to have pros and you're going to have cons to this. All right. But one thing I need you to understand is this is a 1099. You're going to be responsible for your taxes. A good rule of thumb is to set 30% aside. So at the end of the year, you're not in a bad position.
Yeah.
So I had to budget and do that, and then I ended up putting myself on a schedule. Like, okay, so I'm gonna count typically for a 40-hour week. Like, we're just gonna keep that. I was working like crazy. No less than 50 typically. I was working 50 to 60 hours a week, just grinding, just slaving away. At $10 an hour. and I mean, it was all right money. Man, it was rough for the longest time. But so what I ended up setting up was, and still to this day, so I don't understand how people do that, but I knew I would get X amount. So what I would do is I would balance out my intake and my outtake, right? My output. So I call your output is overhead. That's what I call overhead. You'll hear that very common in businesses, like, oh, this is our overhead.
Yeah.
So that would be my minimum to survive. Like, my bills, probably food. We're probably gonna want to factor food. We're gonna want to factor fuel, the necessities, right, to get by and operate. And I would break down. Okay, so I need, in order to have my overhead covered, I need $500 a week. And so what I would do is set aside that $500 a week. And then so when the first of the month came around, I would be able to pay all that. I already had all that money sitting. It didn't matter.
Yeah.
So I always am like behind in a way, or ahead, I guess, if that makes sense. So I've already got the money sitting. And people, I don't know how people wing it. You get people that are like, and they get screwed because they're going to pull their rent check out of the check, but the Friday falls past the 5th, right? And you have to have the rent paid by the 5th, right, for the grace period. So they're on the 6th or 7th getting a check, and now they're incurring late fees because they couldn't pay it. Why would you pay late fees?
Yeah, it's a hard. That's one thing I've always been good on, is paying on time and like not paying late fees. But yeah, like that whole winging it thing, that's something I've kind of been doing for a while. But like I wish I could have it set up to where I have it all in the first month, because that comes to, nobody ever taught me this shit. Like, my parents were not good with money, like, so they didn't teach me shit about it. My school didn't teach me shit about it. My stepdad got me in thousands of dollars of debt with his stupid advice. So like there was nothing to show me and to tell me. Like, I had to learn it myself, and unfortunately, and there are some people that, $30,000 in debt is literally the end of the world.
Absolutely.
And like, that is a lot of money, but at the end of the day, like, I can make that. I have a good job, like, I know I can get out of it. But $30,000 of debt to someone that works at McDonald's, like, that's depression, that's anxiety, like, and like you said, like, how do you're gonna pay it the day after, and now you're paying a late fee on top of the rent, and you're spending $200 extra a month on something you couldn't afford in the first place.
No, and I kind of want to touch on what you said too about your whole debt, because I remember somebody breaking it down to me when I was younger at one point, and he had said there was an idea about it, and he pretty much did what you're talking about, where he went out and bought like everything, right? Like he just bought everything. He maxed out all his credit. Like he just went wild, maxed everything. And then he ended up going into what's it called? When you write off all your debt. It's not foreclosure, that's for homes. Bankruptcy, that's it, exactly. He went into bankruptcy, but the way he structured it, and I'm pretty sure there's some fraud involved in this, so I'm definitely not advocating fraud on this podcast. It's something that I've never done. But he, in a way, he hid his assets and then got to the point where he wrote most of everything off to an extent, and then still had his assets, like all these vehicles. He had this bougie house that was furnished. He hid all of that, all of the furnishings and everything. Like he hid it and did it. So there is a way to do what you're talking about, where you just buy everything you want and then figure it out later. I just don't recommend doing it, but it's doable.
No, 100%, and that's what a lot of people. And hey, it's part of the system, and there's politicians that do it, and there's rich people that do it. I mean, there's a reason they stay rich. Like 50 Cent claimed bankruptcy, but he's, filing out, putting $100 down and saying he's bankrupt. Like, they play the system, but like me personally, I couldn't do that. Like
I'd get caught.
That pride thing kicks in, and it's like... And,
that's my issue.
Like I couldn't do it. And yeah, that's another thing too. I'm not smart. I'm dumb enough to do stupid things, but I'm not smart enough to be a criminal. So I mean, I get it. I know people too that have done shit like that. Everything is in the wife's name, or and I have no money, I have no income, and I get it. I'm not mad at you for doing it. I wish I could do it, but
So that brings me to a topic though, because from what I understand, and I'm starting to learn. So I've been doing business for a little while, and we can discuss that. I would love to share on that and the credit. Like I would love to drop some knowledge, because we've been talking a lot, and I'd love to give some more details of what people like listeners and whatnot can do to kind of start thinking and moving in a right move, right? But I'm at it. I hit a point now where I understand, like, I guess the foundation, and I'm trying to build upon that and go bigger. So one thing, you guys are obviously on a podcast. I'm sure you're familiar with other people out in there. Have you ever heard of Dan Blazarian?
Yeah. He's the poker player that, is miles ahead of everybody playing poker, and goes to nightclubs and throws these extravagant parties and takes pictures with Instagram models, and everybody's jealous of him.
Okay, so did you hear the big? They made a big ruckus about him and how his new-ish business, Ignite, the CBD and whatnot. That business was all a scam, and he was all a fraud, and he didn't even own his big mansion. It was the business that owned it. Did you hear all of that?
No.
It was ravaging the internet. Probably. I think it was like the beginning of 2020.
No shit.
Yeah, no, and I remember one of my boys coming to me, and he was like, "Yeah," because I like Dan Blazarian. Dan Blazarian is he's entertaining, and he's somebody to aspire or look up to, right? Whether it's a positive thing or a negative thing. Like, there's things to learn from people that are that large.
Oh yeah, like the man gets to do whatever the fuck he wants to do, and obviously, he's earned that, So like, I don't know, I feel like every man, if they could, would be on Instagram driving $1 million cars and living in mansions and partying every night. Like, everybody wants to do that.
No, it's like, hey man, you want to be successful, do whatever the fuck you want, take wild trips, and always have smoking hot women around you. Do you want that or no? No, I'll pass. That's just no, get out of here. So more or less, they were getting at it, right? And if you break down into the financials, right? So. And there's this whole, you could go into it, conspiracy or whatever, common law or whatever, original law, Mariner's Time law. When you get a social security number is essentially a business, right? That's your business number. So when you go and create another business like an LLC or a corporation, you get what they call a FEIN or EIN number, and that's a Federal Employer Identification Number. Mm-hmm. And all that is another social security number. So a business is another person. That's why when they talk about marriages the joining of two businesses. You're taking one person who's a business and another person who's a business, and you're combining them together, right? It's a merger. Yeah. So that's why you hear that. So what happens is you have a person essentially as a business, and you can do the same thing. So businesses have credit just like people have credit. They've got a DTI, debt to income. They have all those things, right? So, but they also have rules than your average Joe Blow has. So in the case of Dan Blazarian, and I looked deeper into it, it was given breakdowns of, X amount of Z, and then Dan Blazarian is renting out XYZ from this company and that company. I don't want to say it's funny money games, but it's business games. Oh, so absolutely. The property 100% was not owned by him, but why would you own it? You're going to pay higher taxes on owning it than the business would.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of people don't understand that like when people are like, oh, taxes, you're trying to avoid paying taxes. Like everybody, like I pay attention to a lot of comedians, and like they all moved to Texas and shit because of COVID and everything shut down. But a lot of them have been saying like the taxes are so low out here, and everybody's kind of shitting on them. And it's like, well, like that's their money though. Like they earned that shit, and like obviously if you can go to a place where you can keep more of the money you earned, why wouldn't you stay there? Like, and especially when taxes, you don't know what that shit goes to.
You get taxed on the same money multiple times because you get your income tax, then you get your tax when you buy something, and then I know there's another tax, but I'm drawing a blank right now.
Personal property tax.
Anytime you spend money or receive money, you get taxed on it. So like you're getting double, triple, quadruple taxed on the same money. If you put money away, you're taxed on it. You take the money out too soon or whatever, you're taxed on it again. Like just all this taxes and taxes. You get taxed when you die. You get taxed when you're born. You get just Jesus Christ.
So businesses. So I've always I've operated a bunch of businesses, and the majority of them, if I had to be honest, were not necessarily legitimate, right? Like I wasn't my obligations. Like I didn't have them housed in an LLC. They were kind of side hustles. They were probably better afforded as side hustles. And it wasn't until I opened my contracting company that I really started to learn the whole thing about business and the business gripe. So I still think that the system that we have, the capitalist system that we have, I do think that certain people, for example, Jeff Bezos, needs to pay into that system, right? You have a duty. The reason why you are as successful as you are, yes, you worked hard for it, but in the same sense, if it wasn't for the system that we have now, you wouldn't be able to do that. Try that in China. It wouldn't work.
No, it wouldn't at all.
So you need to pay back into that system. The guy makes something like $300 million a day profit, and you still have guys that work for you in terrible conditions. And to me, that's unacceptable. That's just wrong.
Well, now most people couldn't spend $1 billion in a lifetime. So like you're sitting at like, I don't even know how much he's worth anymore, but billions of dollars. Like, I don't know if you've ever seen the Rice comparison that the dude did and how much money he fucking had, but that's not natural. Like, that's not even generational wealth. That's like
I kind of got the end of time. I kind of got into it with my mom the other day because I was saying, like, me and him kind of agreed, like, there should be a cap. Like, you should be able to, like, $1 billion. Like, you can't go over. What do you need with that much money? Like, I don't know. At that point, you're hurting the system. You're I don't know. You won. Like, you won at that point. Yeah, I don't know.
So to an extent, I would like to agree with that. And I've had this argument before with people because, like Oprah, for example, I remember having this conversation with my concrete guys at one point in time, which those guys are who I could tell you a couple stories that are also business related with those guys. Heads up, if you ever want to be on a concrete crew, you must be a felon. That's a mandatory.
He was on a concrete crew and he was a felon. So
you see, he knows that that's a requirement. Like, hey, do you have a felony? Yes.
You gotta have something going on with your license. Absolutely have to.
A felony? No, sir. I think we're gonna pursue other candidates. Come back to me when you have a felony. No. So I was like the one guy on the whole. Actually, I don't think the guy that owned the company had a felony. All right, cool for him. Anyway, so these guys are lower tier level. Lower tier level. They were plebs. That sounds terrible.
Peasants.
They were in the struggle, right? They were in the struggle. I came from the struggle, so I know where they were, but they weren't necessarily working hard to come out of the struggle. So that's the kind of mentality. These are the kind of people that they were. Like, you got coasters and you've got creators, right? I'm a creator. I'm trying to create. I'm trying to do better. You've got guys that are coasting and they're just trying to coast through life, enjoy what they can, party on the weekend, come home. Life sucks, so they're trying to escape it. So they're getting high as gas or drinking. You know what I'm saying? Turning into alcoholics. But they had a conversation about Oprah, and they were like, yeah, Oprah, it's not right. Oprah shouldn't be able to have that much money. That's not fair. Now, Oprah came from the mud. Yeah, like, do your research on Oprah.
She had nothing.
Oh, yeah.
Oprah, so for somebody that came especially from nothing, and for you to tell them, like, oh, yeah, you worked really hard and you got here. However, you hit the limit and there's no point in working any harder. To me, that's kind of a slap in the face. But so I do agree with you to an extent that, yeah, no, $1 billion is obscene. Like, what are you ever going to do with that? I don't know if you should necessarily cap it, but I still think that to some point that something should be put in place that you're paying back into the system.
I see.
Yeah, I was gonna say I didn't have all the answers. It was just kind of like an idea I had, and she's, no, you should be. And she was like, you should be able to go unlimited and blah blah blah. And it's like, yeah, but like, when is enough enough? Like, at what point are you just being greedy? Like, I don't
see
know.
what you're saying, because the only types of people that accumulate that type of money are people that create. That's not something that you just get, thrown to you. That's not something, like you said, that you just earn coasting through life. Like, you created something and you worked for it. Bill Gates, Steve Jobs, Oprah, Elon Musk, they all built something. So I get it. And when you put that cap on it, like, say, hey, you can only earn $1 billion. These are some of the most brilliant people in the world. So when you tell them, no, you can't make any more money, what are they? They're just going to stop creating. They're going to stop doing anything. And we're not going to get...
Where's the motivation?
Yeah, you're not going to get stuff like SpaceX or, the Boring Company. You're not going to get...
I guess.
Bezos going into space and I'm sure that's all helping.
But in the same respect, do we need all that
stuff? I mean,
I don't know. Do we need all that shit? We got people starving to death and world hunger and people that don't have clean water and electricity, and we're trying to go to space. Here again, at what point is enough enough?
I agree.
So, and that's what I'm saying. Pay back into the system. The saying that pisses me off the most, and it bothers me to the core, is we've got starving kids in Africa. Cool. You know what else we have? Starving kids in America.
Like,
there hasn't been
war veterans that are homeless. Like,
there hasn't been fresh water in Flint, Michigan in like 4 years. Like, I'm pretty sure the water is still undrinkable.
I think it's longer than that. Yeah, I believe it's been longer than that.
Yeah. More than a week is ridiculous. Like,
why?
I mean, granted, I don't know the whole issue, but like, I don't know. Years, that's ridiculous. Like, come on now.
Why isn't one of these big conglomerates not just gone ahead? You're talking Bezos makes something like 300. Call it $100 million profit a day. 100 million profit a day.
And the other
why?
Go ahead.
It would be peanuts. It would be pennies to go ahead and say, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and handle Flint. We're gonna take care of Flint.
I don't know
who decides who takes care of it then.
Well,
which billionaire takes care of that problem that they didn't create though? That's the other side of it, and it's like. It's not really their problem. It's not, but I don't know. It's like humanity. Like, as a greater whole, you have the opportunity to take care of what most people can't.
I don't know who it was. I want to say it was Elon Musk. I'm like 90% sure on this. I don't think I'm making this up. But he offered to fix the water system in Flint, Michigan, and like was in like talks to fix it. And the government didn't allow it because it's going to make them look bad, and it's not. I'm like 90% sure. I wish our Google guy was here so he could look this up. I'm not just talking shit, but I'm pretty sure someone tried to help and the government was like, no, you can't do that. Like, this is a federal issue, but like they're not doing anything about it. So why not?
Then buy Flint.
I mean, that's not a fucking bad idea. Just buy the town.
That would make them look even worse. I said they wouldn't let me fix it, so I bought the town so I could fix it. No, they would never let that happen.
Fun fact, the Mexican cartel, one of the cartels down in Mexico, tried to make a deal with the Mexican government and was like, hey, we'll go ahead and erase your debt as a country, as a whole.
Chapo did that with the United States. He said, erase my crimes and I'll pay off your debt.
Like, I'll pay off the national debt.
I don't know why they didn't.
But we're not,
because the war
we're
on
not
drugs is too
smart-
profitable.
We're not smart businessmen as a country.
No. No, not at all. No, not at all. Because at the end of the day, let's be honest, you're gonna spend way more money. It's all where they put the buckets, right? I mean, the war on drugs is super profitable, and now I've seen like here in Virginia. So I'm in Virginia. That's my current home state. This is not where I'm from, but this is where I reside. They recently legalized marijuana, so now I've noticed an uptick because you have to pack the prisons. There's money in that, right? So now we can't do that with drug possession and drug usage, right? So now what do? Now you get guys that are speeding, and they're giving them jail time for speeding.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's
Like off the rip.
It's ridiculous.
Never had a driving offense. You got a reckless driving. Cool. 90 days in jail. We're gonna go ahead and suspend 60 months though, and you're gonna do 30 days for speeding.
Yeah,
And the cop lied anyway. You weren't really going reckless. The officer lied just to, because that's what they do. It's all a numbers game.
There might be some type of an incentive to keep the jails full.
Well, there is. It's privatized. You make more. They make more money with more people in it.
Not even privatized, but even the government jails. Like if you talk to people that have gone to jail, they know. Oftentimes, they know more than I know. And there's like a whole thing on like the disability. There's a whole thing on like your release date, and oftentimes they'll move your release date because to meet minimum thresholds, like you'll get X amount granted from the government for this inmate if they meet this threshold. So we got to push if you get out, then that screws our numbers. So if we extend you, another month, then we'll get that money and then you can get out.
Well, there's
it's
also
disgusting.
Dress in, dress out is another one where they send you to prison for, they sentence you to prison, but they like terminate your sentence, but you still have to go in, dress in your uniform, go into another room and dress back out of your uniform and then be released. So you went through the system. You went through the prison. I swear to God, it's a thing. It was called dress in, dress out.
I believe you. It's so ridiculous.
No, I don't doubt it.
Yeah. I've been to
jail
a couple times, so I know a little bit about what you're talking about.
No, but I definitely agree there should be. But going back to the whole taxes thing, I definitely started realizing like there's a lot of taxes and a lot of people that all of a sudden want money from you that you weren't aware of. And they bleed you dry. So a lot of these guys that are like, oh yeah, these tax breaks and these businesses that are using these loopholes, you got to.
You have to survive.
And to a certain extent though, this is the thing though, like if this business wasn't around and the business wasn't profitable, right? Because nobody goes into business just for shits and giggles. They go into it for money, right? And you're creating jobs. So that's how you and I feed our family is we go work for these people that can employ us. If they can't employ us, I don't have a job. So to a certain extent, yeah, you're damn right. Like these guys need to play the game. Like there needs to be loopholes that they're exploiting in order to do this, because otherwise you'll get bled dry by the greedy government. Uncle Sam is very greedy.
Yeah, no, my family, we have a business, and actually almost every person in my family owns a business of some sort or has owned a business. And we built a building, and they were told, for sake of argument, we'll say $30,000 a year in taxes is what it was going to be to build this building and operate every year. So they built the building, blah, 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 blah. And first year, taxes were $60,000 or $40,000 or whatever it was. It was ridiculously over, almost double what they had their tax. They paid $20,000 to have this tax assessor come out, because that's what they had to do. And then it was way $20,000 or $30,000 over what the guy told them. So they went to the township and the head people and blah blah blah, and was like, "What the fuck?" I just paid all this money to say this amount of this dollar amount, and now it's way over. And the guy looked at him. He said, "Welcome to the game, boys. Hope you can hang on." And I swear to God, that's what he told them. And then that was it. That was the end of the conversation. And so every year it would go up another $5,000 or $10,000, and $5,000 or $10,000. They'd go and they'd fight it and get it back down $20,000, but then the next year it'd go up. And so it's like it'd go up 30 and back down 20, up 30, back down 20. And it's just like they tax us out of business. So.
And that's a real thing, and you'll see like West Virginia now. So if you look at West Virginia right now is passing a bunch of gun legislation. for pro-gun legislation, right? They're becoming very firearm friendly, and you're like, okay, cool. They love their guns, right? It's West Virginia. It's nothing but hillbilly, sister fucking rednecks, right? They love their guns. No, that's not even what it is. It's the fact that they got nipped in the nuts on their biggest export, which was coal, and now they have a population of people, and how do you sustain that?
You have to create a new revenue source. Like, what are you gonna do?
So now they're passing gun legislation where a lot of the country is going anti-gun. So you have all these this firearm industry. Where do they go?
Yeah, they're gonna go there. Well, that's like
exactly.
That's the same thing with Detroit and stuff. That's why Detroit fell apart, because the taxes got so high, and they led rules and regulations on factories and shit. Which I get it. You're destroying the environment. You should be more healthy and not destroying the earth. But like they pushed an entire town to a ghost town. Like, I don't know if you've ever been to Detroit, but
I have.
It's eerie. Yeah, it's super weird. Like, and that's what happens. And that's another thing I don't understand about, like, everybody's talking about battery technology, and by 2025, all of our cars are going to be electric. Like, mining for lithium is just as bad. And lithium ion is it's unsustainable. Like, it's you can't get rid of it. So what do you do with it when it's
got
done?
Half-lives, if I'm not mistaken.
I don't know. So people just make these brash decisions, and it's weird, and like
China is buying all the used batteries and like redoing them, and like it's here again. I don't know, just it's not good. It's not.
China's smart, and China's definitely not to be fucked with. So there's a meat plant out here, in Virginia. It's a pork plant, right? And I forget the name of it. It's out in Surrey, and if you look it up, China purchased them, and China purchased them for an obscene amount of money, and they said, hey, we're going to overpay you for this business more than it's worth. Oh, and by the way, everybody that works here continues to work here. We're going to continue to pay you. And you're like, wait, what? Why? A lot of it wasn't even the money aspect. A lot of it, from what I understood, was to be that China, it's an intel grab, right? They're grabbing information because they don't know what to do with pig. Like, what do we do with pig? How do we use this as something that we can eat? X, Y, Z. So they're going around and buying strategic assets in multiple countries. Look it up. They have diamond mines in North Africa.
I want to say China, because we looked this up before on the podcast.
China owns more of the U.S. than the U.S. does.
Yeah,
if I'm not mistaken.
They own like 10% of the farmland in the United States or some shit.
No, it's more than that. I'm thinking.
I'm gonna Google it.
I would totally believe that, because they even own bridge tunnels out here where they have tolls.
And highways. A lot of the highways over here by where we live, they're owned by China. They're supposed to connect, what was it, 65 and something. It's supposed to literally run like right through our town. And it's going to be built. Well, I mean, this was 10 years ago. I don't know what's ever happened with it, but that was supposed to be built by China. It was some multi-billion-dollar expressway to connect two expressways.
They own
smart business.
I mean, yeah, it's very smart. They own 192,000 agricultural acres. It's worth about $1.9 billion. Ranching.
That doesn't seem like that
forestry.
much.
I mean, it's not.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot of acreage.
Yeah. I mean, that's just weird to begin with. But smart.
I mean, it goes back, and I hate talking religion. I hate talking politics. I really do. Honestly, I do. So I'm going to say this, and I'm not trying to drive us in that direction, but because I really don't like Trump, but I do have certain respects for what he did. He's definitely been a very profitable businessman, and he did bring some of that mentality to America during his term in office. So I do feel like there were some benefits there, and I feel like there does need to be. I think our government's definitely letting the people down in a lot of ways. Flint, Michigan, for example, that's unexcusable. There's a lot of stuff that is going on, and it doesn't make sense. It doesn't buff the numbers. Like, the numbers just don't buff. You've got things like the lottery, And then oftentimes the lottery gambling tends to be illegal in most countries or in most states, right? So, but the lottery is legal gambling. But we did that under the guise of a percentage of the lottery is going to go to the proceeds are going to go to schools. However, we still have an issue with our schools. But you see it week after week after week. The lottery keeps exceeding numbers that it never had hit before. It's at all-time high. So where's the money going?
Yeah, well, that's the thing too.
I got one question though. If I worked for the lottery and I came up to you and I offered you $1 million to say you won the lottery, would you take it?
Yeah, chances are I would.
What's to say the lottery's real then? Multi-billion dollar. Oh my God, the lottery's at $1 billion. I offer you $1 million to say you won that $1 billion. Would you take it? You just said yes. Where the fuck did all the rest of that money go? I don't know. I don't know if it's real or not, but it's something to think about. You would do it, so who would else? If it's not $1 million, what if it was 10 million? 10 million to say you won $1 billion.
This man is thinking really hard right now about this.
It's been a while since somebody got me, and you done got me.
No, it's true. Like,
no, you got me.
Something to think about.
But even still, there's no requirement that the government has to like spend our money wisely. They don't really have to tell us what the money is being spent on. Like, we know percentage wise, like, oh, like 30 or like some astronomical amount that goes to like military and military advancements, and then they have,
which is weird in itself.
They have all this other stuff that it goes into, but they don't really tell you what's getting spent where. Like, they don't tell you at all. Like,
books aren't open.
Yeah, and it's weird.
There's no transparency.
Yeah, it's weird, and there's no legalities. Like, if you spend our money foolishly, you just don't get reelected next year, and you get to go walk free unless you're a Chicago politician. Then you go to jail for 4 years, and then you write a book when you get out, and you're still right where you were when you went to jail. So,
and then we can switch off the topic. But if you look at it, right, politicians. What was it? Trump's big thing was like, we're going to drain the swamp, right? And to an extent, he did drain the swamp. However, all he did was pump it back full of his cesspool, right? Yeah. Which I'm not knocking the guy, because chances are if you were in that position of power and could set yourself up, you'd probably do the same, right? But look at it, all of the politicians that are governors or senators or across the board, it's all in the same family.
Oh yeah.
Like the Kennedys, the Clintons, the Bushes. Like everybody's playing a part in this cog, and they're all corrupt. Yeah. If you ask, like, everybody's in there packing it, and it's out for us, and we're keeping it all here in the family. It's like the Rothschilds.
Yeah, I have a problem with people who say they want to be politicians to begin with. Like, that's a weird concept to me anyways. Like, everyone always say, oh, I'm in it for the good of the people, but like,
no,
yeah, like it's weird to me. Like, you want to be able to tell other people what to do, like, and write rules for other people. Like, that's weird to me. That's very narcissistic, I feel like. And I mean, you need people who lead, obviously, but like,
that, and most people, he said Rothschilds, most people haven't even heard of them. Most people don't even know who the Rothschilds are. Like,
oh, go look them up, and then go look at how to what extent it is that they've. So that's a whole other thing. I believe that we're placed in boxes, right? They place you in a box. Your whole life, they place you in a box. If you steal, you're going to go to jail. If you murder somebody, you're going to go to jail. And it's similar to that picture that's been floating around the internet of the horse that has the lead on him, but it's not tied to anything, but the horse doesn't go anywhere, right? They put you in this box. So they tell you certain things that aren't even factual. Like, I bet half of everybody listening to this podcast thinks milk's the greatest thing for you. Come to find out, it's really not. It gives you kidney stones. It was a marketing campaign.
Yeah, that's got RBTX, or not the RBTST or whatever. It's a growth hormone that you're supposed to have as an infant, but after 2 years old, it gives you cancer.
Like, yeah, I just had this, milk. I just had this conversation with my girlfriend about her kid and all this stuff, and he drinks milk, and I'm like, like, at some point he should stop drinking that, because it's not beneficial for him anymore.
Or like, fluoride in your toothpaste. Oh, it's good for you. No, it ain't.
We're the only species on Earth that continues to drink milk after infancy. Like, everybody else switches to water. Like, obviously they figured that shit out. Why the fuck haven't we? But you're right.
I mean,
it was all a huge marketing campaign. Like Oberweis, and a whole bunch of other companies like pumped it. I remember when I was in school in the fucking 90s and early 2000s, like everything was drink milk. Everything was you have to drink milk.
Oreos with milk and everything was with milk. Oh my god,
it was so weird.
Sandwiches with
a glass a day.
And,
Yep.
No, and I think somebody's gonna have to. I need to do more research on it before I put that claim out there. But from my understanding, incest really isn't as bad as everybody thinks it is. So if you were to fuck your sister today and create a baby, the baby's not coming out all fucked up.
I really don't know.
But it's something we tell you because we don't want to promote this because this is bad for the narrative, right? That makes no sense. You take both your genes, you all have similar genes, right? And then you put them together. Where did most of history come from? In the Bible. The Bible slam packed full of fucking, which we can debate whether that's real or not, but the whole Bible is related on incest. Like, how did Adam and Eve have 2 children and then create another set of family from that? Obviously, their children fucked.
Goat and the Bear, where we support incest. No,
I'm just saying the Rothschild. It goes back to the Rothschilds, where the Rothschilds were you had to keep it within the family.
Yes, because
you could not go outside.
They didn't want to taint the bloodline, and they thought if you got an outside thing, it would make you it would ruin the bloodline, and it would like
maybe that's
taint
why
it.
they lived to 100.
But no, yeah, like that's another thing. I trying to stray away from religion because we don't really do it that much anymore either. But like, if we followed the guidelines of the Bible that was actually written, like women would not have rights. They wouldn't even be able to come out the house. We would have slaves. Our families everybody would be fucking everybody in their families. Like, why would we follow that shit? Like, I don't know. That's weird to me. But I agree. I mean, I've never looked into the whole incest thing. I've had no desire to have sex with any of my siblings. So it's not really a topic I Google often. But,
and that's tough. You got an ugly sister, huh? Brother's not very attractive. He not hung like horse. What? I mean, what's going on here, bro? Bro, I'm gorgeous. You know what I'm saying? And one of my brothers damn sure looks like me. Bro, I'd fucking rail him. I'd rail him.
That's actually something we talked. Is it gay to fuck yourself? Like, if you had like a carbon copy of you, would it be gay, or is it just self-love?
I'm fucking myself. I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit no more. Bro, go ahead and ask me. Would you suck a dick for $1 million? Yes, sir. I'd be that millionaire faggot. Yes, sir. Absolutely.
You'd have to give me another $1 million for me to stop, bro. What the fuck do you mean? You wouldn't want me to suck a dick for $1 million? My mouth is definitely worth $1 million. All right.
Look, nobody said I had to enjoy it. There's a lot of shit. I go to work every day and I don't like it, and they don't pay me $1 million.
Bro, there's people out here doing that shit for free. You think I'm gonna not take $1 million? Are you out of your fucking mind?
You can label me as the queer. I'm good with it. I'll cry to my money.
The Kardashians became billionaires for Kim fucking a black dude. Like,
yo, Ray J.
Like, what are you talking about? Like, yes, I want to be that guy. Absolutely, I want to be that guy.
Made even more money by becoming transgender.
Did he really?
Yeah, it's all relevancy. It all keeps you viral. You got to think they didn't become Woman of the Year and not get paid off of that.
Yeah, you're talking about Caitlyn Jenner. I thought you were talking about Ray J. Like, he's transgender now.
Oh, I don't know what happened to him after shit. He kind of, I don't even know. That's a whole conspiracy theory in itself. Where did Ray J go after the 16 calories? I haven't heard from him.
There's. I would do. Yeah, you give me money and I don't have to work the rest of my life. Send it. Why are you shaking? Are you jerking off? I'm not that.
No. Not that pretty. Well, you already told me your sister was ugly, so yeah, no. For you to think that you were the anomaly, you just came out beautiful. I was the one pretty child. No, sir. I got news for you.
Should his teeth come out?
Oh, my God. Yeah, my teeth come out. I can't afford teeth. That's how bad our system is. I belong down there with you in West Virginia.
Hey, fun fact, dentists are not obligated to the Hippocratic Oath that doctors have to take. So doctors have to perform in the best interest of its patients. Dentists do not. Fun fact. Look it up.
why my motherfuckers always want to pull my teeth and shit.
Yeah. Oh no, you should,
Exactly.
You don't want to do the $250 extraction. You want the $4,000 root canal because your teeth will shift. Fuck you, pull it out.
Yes,
Well,
sir.
that's kind of what my dentist told me. They were like, "Look, you're gonna need a lot of work done on these teeth, and we're more than willing to do it." I was like, "Just pull them. Just pull them. I don't want to deal with this shit. They have really good fake teeth now. Just pull them. I'll get those later." I don't want to deal with this shit anymore. I have bad teeth. It's genetics. I brushed them, and you know what? It failed me. I'm not dealing with this anymore. Pull the fuckers.
No, you're not wrong. Genetics do play into it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I'm sure you shampooed and conditioned your hair, and look, it's gone. Like, you did everything you could do, and you have no hair left. It's tragic. It was just bad genetics, and we still love you. We think you're very pretty. We think you should put a hat on, but.
I need a timeout.
But yeah.
No. Shit genetics.
Chiropractors technically aren't doctors either, right? And that's all like a fucking snake oil like facade. I mean, I'm sure it helps some.
I love my
but it's
chiropractor.
not like a real practice of medicine.
No.
You're not wrong. I do think there are benefits.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
But what they're selling, I don't think the benefits are as large as they make them out to be. But you're 100% correct.
Yeah.
But to take us back, and I guess go to something positive, like some substance. Like I would love to talk about like business and credit, and we've even mentioned like the guy at McDonald's with $30,000 in debt, and how that's just got to be scary. Like there's ways to move past that and become better.
Oh, absolutely.
And I would love to touch on that. Like I've done some crazy outlandish stuff that people it would blow your mind, and it's that easy. I had a vape juice company at one point in time that was actually pretty successful, and pretty profitable. It was to the point where I was actually in vape shops, so I had product in vape shops, and that's something that we did not. We had a business license to the IRS and all those Fed boys watching. We definitely had a business license. We were paying our taxes. Good citizens. But if we weren't, nobody necessarily could have stopped you. So it's definitely a thing that's going on out there. And the vape juice business, I'll give you the secret sauce on that. Like there was a big vape boom, right? And vape was the greatest thing ever. You had great vape shops that now started opening, and they're selling mods, they're selling juices. And just like anybody else, like you've got two different kinds of business. Well, there's multiple kinds, but you have like B2B, which is business to business, and then you have B2C, which is business to customer. We were selling to people, obviously slinging it more or less out of the house. And then we also expanded and started selling to businesses. That helps in a couple parts, right? You get some brand authority because, hey, I've seen them in a vape shop, so they must be big time, right? And then you get bulk orders. So volume's great, right? You can go ahead and you're not making your ROI or whatever. Your profit margin might be a little skinnier, but at the same time, you're making a larger lump of money at one time. So, hey, would you rather have $1,000 right now profit at 50% margin, or would you rather take 100 at 100%? Right? We'll take the 1,000. So things like this, like people can go out and it's something that I've tried to better myself and acquire new skills. Like I do believe that decompression is important, right? So you can go home and watch some Netflix. However, if you're just going home every day at the end of every shift that you work at your shitty job that you hate, and you are not doing anything to better yourself, it's your fault.
Absolutely.
There's a lot of opportunity out here, and I understand that not everybody was granted a silver spoon where they had somebody to look up to and give them the blueprint and map things out and tell them what to do. I'm one of those guys that definitely I came out the mud. Like I didn't get financial advice. I didn't get given keys to the kingdom. Like I had to figure it out, make my own way, and I've done all right. And I think other people can do that. So it starts small. And then all these skills that you start acquiring and building, you can use in other aspects of life. Like I got into Photoshop in my gun business venture, and started using that for like digital marketing and things of that nature. And then that grew. So like when the vape juice company came along, I was able to create the labels for our bottles because I had the Photoshop experience.
You didn't have to
And
pay
then we can
someone.
print exactly. So that's something, and there's an argument about when to outsource things and when you're just doing too much. But at that time for us, you know what I'm saying? You had other people that were cranking vape juice similar to we were, and they're selling bottles of vape juice, and they've got these shitty labels that they wrote on. Like if I present that to you and I try to get money from you, how much you're not going to value that so high, right?
Yeah, because it's
But if
not
I come to you,
professional. Like it's the image is what sells that
I was gonna say
realistically.
half the time people buy shit off of the image. You have some
100%.
flashy bottle with fruit all over it or something cool, or just this generic bottle with a Sharpie on it. Like,
hands down. So and we were to the point we were super professional. We had high grade bottles. We had the anti-tamper seals on them. We had we used to cellophane sleeve them so they were sealed, and you had to rip them open where everybody else is running around. And this was all stuff we did at home. We had the glass beakers that we would go ahead, like it wasn't an ISO operation, which is preferable, but it was definitely a clean space. We wore gloves. Everything was in beakers that we, cleaned properly and all of that. And we bottled it up and sold it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to like shift too much, but you said you had a kid and you've made it out from poverty and you're doing all right for yourself. What are you going to do different with your kid? Like, are you going to give him the opportunity, him or her? I believe you said it was a him, right? Yeah. So are you gonna like let him fend for himself because the lessons you learned are more valuable for the rest of your life, or are you going to more so coddle him and give him the stuff that you never had?
So
That's
this is
question.
a tough one.
Yeah.
No, this is a tough one, and I wouldn't mind diving in this to some extent. So, for a very large period of time, I was a single father, and we can dive into a little bit about that. I would love to, because the system's really screwed for single dads. It really is.
It's almost impossible.
If you can even become a single dad.
Yeah.
Oftentimes they would prefer to give the child to a woman who should not raise a kid, and honestly probably has no interest in raising a kid, but for the sake of everything they would rather, because mothers and family, they'll give them to them. I'll go ahead and give you the heads up that my credit score and learning about credit sparked from that struggle, specifically. There's one thing that credit's good, right? So you need debt, right? And that's how you get credit. And there's a bunch of other factors, but long story short is you got to play the game, right? You got to play the credit game in order to get good credit. So I hit a position in life. I've got easily over $90,000 wrapped up into legal fees alone for my child in the battle I fought. Now, that's a lot of money. $90,000 is a lot of money.
Yeah.
And oftentimes you're working with lawyers that are expensive. I think my lawyer was something like $400 an hour. I mean, going to court for one day was about a $2,000, hit. And if you don't have the money, we're not going to work. And you've got a lot of other things on the line when that happens. Like, that's not an option. So then you got to get creative with, where do I get this money? Because just coming up with this money is not a thing. Like, I make $40,000 a year. How do I pull? And I have all my expenses. Like, how do I pull all this money out? So I got creative and started playing a lot of I call them funny money games, but borrowing money here and robbing Peter to pay Paul. You would utilize this debt to go ahead and pay that debt to go ahead and turn around, and you're just running a big game. And that's what ended up getting me my credit, and got me real super in tune and started learning a whole bunch of stuff. But no, to answer the question, so I grew up. I'm the eldest of 6, so there were 6 of us, and that was a whole different dynamic. We were definitely a Southern Christian family, so that was interesting dynamic. And then majority of our childhood we were poor, bro, if I could tell you how much oatmeal I ate, and not the good kind, like I'm talking plain Jane oatmeal,
It was
like
ramen.
breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
It was ramen noodles here. That was it. All fucking from the age of 8 to like 14. That's like all I ate was ramen noodles. So I feel you on that.
Ramen was my young adult life. Like when I moved out at 18, like it was ramen and hot dogs and eggs. I couldn't do oatmeal no more. But so then with the whole custody thing, like it's created this kind of bubble that he's been in where you kind of got to coddle and things operate differently. So he's also a single child. So he does have, I'm running into that now where he's kind of got this single child syndrome, and trying to combat that's difficult because I definitely don't want to rob the kid, right? Like, if we can go do things like we went on vacation last year in 2020, and that was the first time I've been on vacation, and we took like I think it was a 7-day cruise. I'd never in my life have ever, that was the first time ever I've been on vacation. And I was like, what, 27, 28? And here he is, not even a teenager, and he's getting to experience this. You know, that's awesome. But what would you do? Would you leave him home? Would you rob him of that? You know what I'm saying? Like if I've got it and can share it, I want to share it. But at the same time, though, I'm very forward and upfront with my child. Like I'm very more transparent, I think, than most people are, because I've let him know things like school, for example. I've equated school because a lot of people have problems with their children wanting to go to school or do well in school. And I've explained to my child, like, school is your job. Okay, for your life, you are going to have a job. You're going to have to do something in order to become successful, to make money, to be desirable, and to move forward in your life. For me, my job pays the bills. If I don't do my job, I don't pay the bills, then we don't have a house, we don't eat.
Yeah.
Your job's school. So when you go to school, even if you don't like it, I don't necessarily like my job. I still need you to go to school, and I need you to do well. You need to start setting up. Now, does he understand this 100%? Probably not. But it's there. It's implanted, and he starts. Then as he gets older and as things keep progressing, the dots start to connect for him.
Well, I think that's such an important thing to do, to be kind of more upfront with them at a younger age anyways, because like you said, it starts that wheel in motion. My mom said to me a lot, and it never sat well with me, and it's something I will never ever do to my kids, is because I said so. Why though? Why are you saying this? Like, this has to have some sort of benefit to me. I need to know the benefit, me personally. I mean, that shit might work for other people, but like, I'm not just going to blindly follow you and listen to you. Like, I need to know why I need to go do this. I need to know why I can't go to my friends. I don't even care if, well, I'm tired, I don't feel like driving you. Oh, okay, well, that's a fair reason. I get that. But because I said so, like, that's just... It's the same thing I have a problem with, like, religion and stuff. That's blind faith. Like, I need to know what's going on. I can't just do that. And I think it's important. But then at the same time, like you said, like, you're not going to take the experience away from him. At what point, like, does the child's innocence, you know, you want to keep them innocent as long as possible and shelter them from this world and give them cruises and stuff like that. But, like, what age do you not necessarily take it away, but at what point do you, like, this is on you, you know what I mean? Like,
where's the contrast? Like, my kid has never gone to bed hungry.
Yeah.
I have.
Yeah.
I know what it's like to go to bed hungry.
Yeah.
So I understand the gravity of food. I understand, like, even if I don't like the food, I'm eating it.
Yeah.
Because food's not going to go to waste. I remember that I was one of those starving kids in America.
Yeah. So, like, and it's awesome.
He doesn't get that.
Yeah, it's awesome that he doesn't have to get that. But at some, like, that struggle is what made you who you are. And I feel like, to some degree, everybody needs to struggle to survive, like, to be the best version of themselves. But I mean, not to say, like, just because the kid doesn't go to bed hungry or, you know, he's going on cruises doesn't mean he's not going to struggle. He's just going to struggle in a different way.
Different way.
I don't want to see it. Like, for me, it wasn't like, oh, at this age you gotta, you know, this is how life was. It's certain shit just happened in our lives that made me grow up. Like, I don't know, it wasn't just like, oh, I mean, my parents got divorced when I was young, so like I was old enough to understand but not fully understand. So like I somewhat knew what was, like, I don't know, there's just things in my life that had happened. Like, my dad Dad got stuck in a ravine snowmobiling or whatever, sank his snowmobile and blah, 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 almost died and all this stupid shit. I was 11 years old on a school night, had to go hook up the trailer in 2 feet of snow so my mom could go over there and go get, like, just shit happens. Like, I don't know, just, it's not so much you sit them down and, all right, today's the day you're this old now, you know, like, I don't know, just shit happens in life and you take it as it comes and explain it to the best of your ability when it happens. Like, I don't know. That's how I was raised, and that's the way I was done. I don't know. I turned out all right, I guess. Like, I don't know.
Only one felon.
I'm doing all right. Like, I don't know. And like,
no, and like you
respect,
mentioned,
everyone's learning. You're learning how to be a dad. You know, like you've never done this before. You know, just like your kid's learning how to be who he is. You know, he's never done this before. So like that's also the gray area of it all to begin with. Like, I don't know. I don't think there's a certain age for anything as far as that goes. It's just what happens in life and what you're given and how you handle it after. Like,
no, 100%. Like you said earlier in the podcast, like, I learned the hard way. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So a lot of lessons are better learned hands-on experience.
yeah, clunked in the head after. I'm like, that's me. Like, I gotta smack my head on the same thing 10 times before it's like, you know what, motherfucker? All right. Like,
Okay, I'll wear my seatbelt. We'll wear the hard hat. The hard hat's okay.
yeah, I tried the hard hat, and then it gets knocked right off. Like, and then you're still getting hit in the head. Dude, I'm telling you, like, I've learned the hard way with everything.
No, it's definitely my whole take on it. Like, and to go back to the whole because I said so. Like, my thing for him, even when he was younger, was like, there's certain things. Like, I need you to understand that there are certain things that when I tell you to do something, I don't need to give you a reason why. Like, I need to understand that if I tell you to do something, oftentimes there's a reason that I can't explain at that point in time. You know what I'm saying?
Something he probably wouldn't understand at that time.
Right, and I try to give an example. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, if the ball goes out in the street, I might see that car coming that you don't see. So if I yell for you to stop, I need you to stop when I say stop.
Absolutely.
I have no time to explain this to you, and you don't understand. You go run out there, and you don't listen to me. You get ran over by a car, and then what?
You're dead.
So there's got to be, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I still feel like, to an extent, yeah. I mean, like, you got to offer some sort of insight into the world. Like you said, you can't just go arbitrarily, like, I'm the parent, you're the child, so therefore you do what I say. Well, but that doesn't make sense. And how do you gain value from that, though?
Yeah, you're not learning anything. You're not gaining anything. Yeah.
How do you become a better adult or a better human being when your parents are no longer here to tell you do this now?
Yeah.
Like, why should I do this? I don't understand why was I supposed to swap the laundry from the washer to the dryer? Like, I don't why did I have to do it the same day? I don't understand. Well, because I said so.
Yeah, well...
Well, now you're an adult and your clothes are moldy.
Yeah, you're going to fucking dates and you smell like shit and you don't know why these girls don't want to hang out with you. It's because you're fucking moldy, you twat.
But my mom told me to shower, and I don't really want to shower because she used to make me shower. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, and that's a big thing too. Is, you know, most kids, and I mean, fuck everybody. There's not many people that like authority to begin with. So like when you're telling you to do this, like, I'm not gonna fucking do. There's still shit to this day that I don't do that my mom told me to do when I was younger. Because fuck you. I'm an adult now. I can do what I want.
Yeah, I don't need my vegetables. I'm a grown up now.
Fuck you. That's why. Oh, man.
Eating vegetables didn't work for me. I didn't grow up to be big and strong like the Hulk.
I ate my carrots and still needed glasses.
Yeah,
you lied to me. Oh.
No, so my whole game plan is to kind of instill it in him, right, and give him the leg up, essentially. Like, I'm going to drop the knowledge. I'm going to try to hold his hand and walk him to it, and what he does from there. Like, I'm going to do my best not to give him, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not going to give him the keys to the kingdom. Like, you know what I'm saying? Ideally, by the time he's 18, I'll have some sort of successful business, at least one, right? I'm not just going to turn that over to you. That makes no sense. But if you want to sit down and get the roadmap for it, we can do that.
Yeah.
Have you opened a credit card in his name yet?
So, no, but you need to open a credit card in his name. You just put him as an authorized,
That's
which I plan to do.
I would Sooner the better. I just recently, like within the last couple months, learned that you could do that. And like here again, that's something else that a lot of people don't do. You put your child on your credit, and as long as your credit's good, your child's credit will also be good, and he is that 10 steps ahead of everyone else. So.
No, 100%. That is something I've gotten to work. He's just not at the age as of yet.
Okay.
Granted, I don't know. That sounds like a piss poor excuse. I should probably jump on that sooner than later. But in saying so, did you also know that you can make money by doing that for other people?
I did. That's literally what I told you is what I know about it.
Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah, so. I know my stepdad used to do that for people we work with, and he'd be like, "Yeah, give me $500 and I'll put you on my credit cards to build your credit." So he did that all the time.
So it's called lines of credit, and this is another reason why it goes back to the whole debt thing, and this is something that people can do now. Oftentimes it's not necessarily instantaneous because a lot of these companies that you would contract with or become a vendor for have some strict requirements. Obviously, as one guy, so I had a long conversation with a guy that runs it, and I think he was from Australia, came here, ended up marrying a woman, stayed here. And he would say, juicy. He was always like, juicy. Like, yeah, I got one of these. Yeah, oh yeah, that's a juicy credit card, or that's a juicy card. And it tripped me out. Cool dude. But he's got 13 credit cards. And there are people that make 6 figures a year selling their lines of credit. Some cards are more advantageous than other cards, but you're looking at a couple of different factors. So once again, like you said, you have to be good credit history. Like that card, that profile, that credit profile must be in good standings. And then there's things that play into credit, such as age. Age is actually a large factor. Then you have things like the credit limit. So obviously, if you have more credit, that's better. So a $20,000 card compared to a $5,000 card is better. And what happens is typically you get credit consulting or credit repair agencies that work with individuals that have poor credit on rebuilding their credit. They oftentimes will have either in-house or they'll subcontract out to another business that what they do is they have a portfolio of credit cards that clients can choose, and based on how juicy your card is depends on how much money that it would cost. And what happens is you as an individual who has lines of credits in good standing would put that credit card out there, and they'll pay you to put individuals as an authorized user for typically 2 months. They have no access. You don't give them a credit card. They don't even know who you are. However, with them being an authorized user, it does affect their credit in a positive way. So as somebody that works at McDonald's and has $30,000 in debt, if you were to operate and move smart, you might find that you have a line of credit that you could sell and make an extra $150 a month selling that line of credit.
And I feel like this information, like we can learn from people like you and mouth to mouth, but like this is the type of information that nobody tells you. I'm
28 and I was just finding out about this not that long ago.
Yeah, I've never heard someone talk about this before openly, and I think that's such a letdown.
It's like hush hush shit that if you know, and you keep it hush. Like, I don't know, it's weird to me. Why?
Your parents probably didn't know that if I put you, like I've got a good credit card, if I put my kid on it, I'm setting them up for success.
No, they had no clue, or otherwise they would have done it. Like,
that's another thing. So that's another thing I want to get in. So we go through, and so when I started out at 18, I worked for a small general contracting company, and we quickly became the number one contractor for an investment firm that was doing quote unquote house flips. So they would buy properties. Initially, it started out with the first couple of houses we would refurbish. So we would take the structure, the bones, and then rebuild it essentially, right? And then we quickly developed into we just knock these houses down and we build brand new. And they had investors. They called them investors. So you had the parent company, the investment firm, and then they would typically partner with what they call junior investors. And these are guys that have money that they're looking to invest, and they're putting them into these deals. So they put them into the deals, they do some of the work, and then they're taking a split of the proceeds on the back end. And there's a couple of these guys that I was able to talk to, and you start picking brains. I really feel like we live in a society where we're super aggressive, right? Like we'd rather quickly flick somebody off and say fuck you than hey, how are you doing? My name's Jacob. You know what I'm saying? And you never know who you're going to run into and what kind of knowledge they could drop. Teamwork makes the dream work.
Absolutely.
Yes. And that's why it's always been weird to me that like people hoard information and don't tell people. Like, I don't know why. You know what me and you could do together with what we know versus me individually and you individually? Like, it just makes no sense. Why?
100%, and I still to this day, that's the largest struggle, and even in my friend group it's still hard to try to get these guys to get their heads out their asses and try to work together.
It is, and in our friend group too, I've been years ago we were talked about buying a race car together and like going on the track, and you know, this is our race car, all of us get to drive it, all of us get to do it, but like nobody can come together to agree on an idea, and it's like, motherfucker, like, do you have any idea how easy this would be to do all together? Like, even still, we could build more than one race car down the road, but we have to start with the one. Like, something I was told that I always, it stuck with me, and I think it's like the greatest idea, is when people move from India and like countries over there, they move in large groups. They come down with like 16 families, and they move into one house. And those 16 families
pay for that house.
All pay the mortgage payment every month. So it's paid off within like 4 years. And then those 15 families move out, and then they just keep going. And by the end of
time, they one stays in that house but pays for the next house to get built.
Yeah.
And like they just keep going until they have one has a house.
Yeah, now 16 families have these nice houses that everybody's bought and paid for, you know, and then who's to say that they can't like start a real estate company, and they're selling houses and flipping houses. Like, that's awesome. Why the fuck aren't we doing that?
Well, a lot of them do gas stations, and when they come and start a business, they don't do taxes on them businesses. Well, then they just kind of switch the ownership of the families that all came over here together, that all live in the same house, and never pay taxes on it. They're doing it at the gas station next door. They're right now. They're in the process of swapping the family because the one guy's going out and there's the couple new guys coming in, learning the ropes and shit. So they're about to. I've been there for 2 changes of families already, and like it sucks because they were great guys. You know, they're there for so long. You get to know them. I see them every day, 2-3 times a day. Like, and then it's like, damn, I haven't seen the one guy in 3 years. Like, dude, I don't know where he went. Must be. I don't know. He's gone.
So when you're talking about in business, I believe they'd call that a hedge fund. So when you all put all your all's money together and we use that, because obviously, and I'll give you this. So one of these investors, he was talking to me in one of the conversations, and he had a large portfolio XYZ, and he had $1 million in a bank account, and that was what he called his sleep good at night money. And I was like, what? $1 million just in one bank account is like sleep good at night money?
That's not even.
How do you?
It's not insured.
How do you do this? You know, how do you make multiple millions of dollars? And he gave me this. He gave me this little tidbit of knowledge, and it's awesome. So let me ask you a question. If I gave you $1 right now, how hard would it be for you to turn that $1 into $2?
I mean, it depends on how ambitious I feel that day. To be completely honest, because I've turned $1 into $100 before. You know what I mean? And
no, not 100. How hard would it be to turn $1 into $2? Hard?
Yeah, I mean, it's not the easiest.
But it wouldn't be as hard as taking $1 to turn it into $100, though, would it?
No.
Same concept for $1 million. How hard do you think it would be to turn $1 million into $2?
Easier than it would be to take $1 and turn it into $2, because you already have.
It's the same concept.
Yeah, but with $1 million, you can invest it into things. I mean, $1 you can invest into things as well. I mean,
you can run the same investments with the same dollar as you would the 100 or the 1 million.
Longer.
You're right. Yeah. Okay. I see what you're saying.
No. With $1, I mean, you could literally right now go buy for $1 a candy bar and sell that for $2.
Yeah.
They do it all the time.
That's literally what I was just about to say. Some dude was walking around a parking lot 3 days ago when I was on a date selling Reese's from the gas station you can get for 79 cents for $2. So
it's the same concept with $1 million, except instead of buying a candy bar, you're buying a business, or you're buying 100 candy. You know what I'm saying? You're buying larger quantities. So with the whole 16 families, one family with $10,000 could turn it into 20 relatively easy, right? But if we've got now $100,000, it compounds that much quicker. We can turn 100 into 2, 2 into 4, 4 into 8. Now we're at $2 million. And by the time we split it up, and you can do that in a quicker term, the same period that it takes for you to turn $1 into $2, you can turn 100,000 into 100,000.
God, yeah, I mean, I never thought about it like that. That is some pretty fucking good knowledge. Like, it's, again, that's stuff that, like, people don't talk about. Like, that's not something that's ever been shared with me before. Like, I don't know, I've never thought about it like that.
And this is how it works, and this is how debt and everything works. This is why I'm trying to tell people, everybody's leveraging debt the wrong way. You're leveraging debt the wrong way. And this is another thing. So let me ask you a question. If, let's say, hypothetically, you have $200,000 cash, free and clear, sitting in the bank right now, and you're in the market for a home. You're going to live in this home. This is going to be your personal home. Would you, A, take out a mortgage to finance the purchase of the home, or would you, B, cash outright, put the $200,000 down and not have a mortgage payment? What would you do?
Personally, I would take out the mortgage.
I'd do a half and half.
Yeah, you use some of it as a down payment so you can keep some as, you know, emergency
Set myself
money.
up later. It would be a lower down payment. That would be my thought behind it. You put half down, you only owe half. You still got half in the bank as a sit bound, or not a sit down, but like a security cloud. And your payments are less, so it takes less for you to afford that home if you get in a pinch.
Now, I'm not going to say that you're wrong, because honestly, when it comes to this stuff, there's no wrong answers. However, why would you not take $200,000 from somebody at a 3 to 4% interest rate and use their money at 3 to 4% interest rate when you can take your $200,000 and put it in index funds in the stock market and make 8% return on that money? Now, if we're going to go ahead and buff the numbers, no, in theory, it's not 8% any longer, because you're paying 3 to 4%, right, for the interest on the mortgage. But that still nets you a positive 4 to 8% in the stock market on that $200,000.
Well, that is one thing I have always heard is when you get into business, like, don't ever use your money. If someone else is offering you money, use their money.
Yeah.
So I get it. That makes complete sense. You can still make money off of yours, and you're getting a return, and technically your shit is getting paid for off of that interest alone. You know what I mean? Obviously, you know what I mean. You just told me.
You've heard it takes money to make money, right?
Yeah.
That's so much deeper than you people understand. Like, it takes money. Literally, money makes more money.
Yeah, I get that. Because if you don't have it to begin with, you can't just make it. But when you have it, you can get products and goods and services that can make you more money.
Or loan it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or invest it.
Yeah.
There's so many ways, but they don't teach you this.
See, I always just spent it.
Don't use your credit card unless it's an emergency. Why? Use the dog shit out of your credit card and get 2% cash back. Pay everything with the credit card. Build the credit history, so now I no longer have a $5,000 credit line. I have a $20,000 credit line, and I'm pocketing $200 a month for selling it. Now I'm pocketing $4 because I'm selling it to 2 people a month. So now I'm making $400 a month on my credit line.
Where does someone do that? Like, sell their lines of credit, like you were saying before? Like, that's something you just, hey, on Facebook, like, hey, anybody want to help with their credit? Or, like, is there, like, a business outline that you could do? Or, like, is that, I mean, I don't see how it's necessarily illegal to do that. So, like, how does one go about doing that?
So from what I understand, so it's definitely not illegal. However, it's kind of like a gray area loophole. And from what I'm understanding now, there are some credit card companies that do not appreciate that loophole being exploited. And they try to prevent people from doing it. other loopholes there's not. So there's nothing illegal about it. It's not illegal. It's not black market, dark web. It's none of that. You can go to the ClearNet, type in Google, sell credit lines, and there will be reputable businesses that do this.
So it's like, it's just frowned upon, like jerking off in an airplane.
No, not quite that bad. It might be just frowned upon, like jerking off in your bedroom because your mom's Christian. Like, we don't appreciate that.
Okay.
Like, on the airplane, the marshal's gonna roll up on you and be like, "All right, sir, when we land, you're gonna come with me. And by the way, here's a gift. I've got you these shiny silver bracelets. I'm gonna need you to wear them for the duration of the."
I didn't mean like in the seat, like in the bathroom. You know what I mean? You're not gonna do that shit in public. That's not frowned upon. That's illegal.
Look, now I feel like you're kink shaming people, all right? And
No, I do. I think there's so many revenues that just aren't talked about, and there's no information I mean, unless you know what to look for, and I mean, even still, we didn't look for you, and I had no idea what this podcast was to turn into, and you just showered us with fucking information, which I think is awesome, and like that's something a lot of people don't have the know-how to do, or like they don't even know where to start looking, so like, where does someone start with this?
you get uncomfortable.
I like that. That's
No, seriously, and I'll bring it back. So, me personally, like I said, so single father, right? And there's not a lot out there. So if you're a single mom and you want to go to college, the government will pay for that. Shoot, they've got programs set up that they'll even take care of you at home. So you've got room, board, food, everything while you go to college. They'll take care of you. As a single dad, they don't have that option. So I had to work damn hard to be able to keep everything afloat and moving forward in a positive direction. So college, granted, the argument could be had that if I really wanted college bad enough, I could have gone after it and made something happen. However, in my opinion, college was a poor return on investment for me, right? So you got to get out there and you got to get uncomfortable. You got to go and do. And I've gone for things like podcasts, certifications, books, YouTube, and I listen to things like I'll listen to a podcast like we're having now, and you'll have people like myself that drop nuggets, and you start taking those nuggets, and then you go down avenues of what to research. Like, oh, this guy's talking about you can sell your credit lines. What is this? And then you go to the Google. You got to do it. How many times do you sit there with your friend group and you're sitting there chatting about, oh, I think this, I think that, I heard this, I heard that, but you don't know. Pick up your telephone,
Google is
type
right
it in the
there.
Google.
We do it all the time.
We can do that right now.
Yeah.
So people need to start utilizing the tools that they have available to them, right? So utilize the tools that you have, gain more tools. So I've chased down things like podcasts. And gone from there. Like I that's where I learned about the whole credit line personally, was a dude on a podcast talking about how he's making $6,000 a month just on selling his credit lines. And I'm like, wait, what? And he's like, all I do is every 2 months, it takes me, all of an hour to take these people off and put these people back on.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but $6,000 a month is totally worth that. An hour of your time.
So get uncomfortable. I listened to a podcast, right? And this is something I tried to do when I was younger, and the mother of my child at the time prevented me from doing. And it's big now, right? We've got TikTok, we've got all these cool cliches and all this cool stuff, and guru and authority, right? So they've got cool names that they've coined, like house hacking, right? And house hacking is essentially what you said that Indian family does. You as a person, right? As you and your girlfriend, or just you've got a 4-bedroom house for what?
$1,200.
But why? But for what? What are you doing with the other 2 bedrooms?
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah, like what's the point of having that if you're not using it?
And I listened to a podcast, and this guy, he said he went from this small apartment to this nice house, him and his girlfriend, a 4-bedroom house. And it was a really nice house. He said he woke up one morning. He's like, we just used this 1 bedroom, the master bedroom. I got 3 other bedrooms. I got this big house that I'm paying a pretty significant payment for. It's a nice house. For what? And I'm broke. I hate my job. Well, not broke, but they're, we're doing but so good. I want to rent out a bedroom. So he talks to his girlfriend about it, and he's like, hey, I want to rent out one of the bedrooms. She's like, all right, well, we'll bet. No women? Or, no young ladies and no young men. I don't want any men. I think it was no men and then no young ladies. So that left them with a small demographic of who they could rent out to. Well, they ended up finding a grandma that paid pretty much half the mortgage that lived in the downstairs bedroom. He said a couple weeks go by, and he's getting this rent payment for her, and he's blown away that it's paying for half the mortgage. And she's a great tenant. It's not a big deal having her there. He's got 2 more bedrooms across the hallway. So he talks to his girlfriend again and is like, I want to rent out the bedrooms across the way. And she said, absolutely not. Nope. They're going to be on the same floor as us. I'm not cool with that. He said he went to work that morning and he was in turmoil the whole day. Like, he was torn. He was fighting himself. He had a battle. And he ended up going home and giving her a 2-week notice. They had a conversation, I think, that prior to that about being broke. Like, he was like, I don't want to be broke. I want to be rich. I want to be wealthy. Like, I want to be good off. What do you want to do? And she's pretty much like, I want to coast, right? Like, nah, I'm good where we're at. I don't want more. And he goes to work, has the whole turmoil thing. He decides that he's going to come home, give her a 2-week notice. So he gives her a 2-week notice to move out. They're broken up. They're done. He said the same day she was moving out, he had 2 other dudes moving in. And now he's making more than his mortgage payment. So then it comes a couple weeks later down the line, and this dude's like, I've got this master bedroom with this, bathroom that's super nice that's attached. Like, what do I need all this for? He said, I moved my king size mattress down to the garage and I rented that room out. Lived in the garage. He met his now wife while he was living in the garage.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
And
why not do that? You're making what, twice the mortgage? So you're putting away the amount that you used to be paying for the house.
On top of
and
your
then
job,
he bought
and
another
living for
house.
free.
Yeah. On top of the fucking your job, you're making money at your job, so it makes sense. That's why I've always loved real estate. I love the idea of real estate because it's a physical thing. It's hard for me to get into stocks because, one, I've had people try to explain stocks to me, and I still don't fucking have any idea what the fuck is going on with that
There's
shit.
too much.
There's
There's too much shit to understand.
When I buy a property, that's mine. I can go there. I can look at it. I can touch it. I can feel it. Fuck, I could taste it if I wanted to. But, like, people are always going to need somewhere to live, and that's the way I see it. Like, you're always going to get a return on it as long as it's in, a decent area and, the fucking house isn't getting shot up, and I absolutely think that's a realistic, like, future to make money, like, that's just the way I see it.
It's a finite resource, so 100%. And even then, if the house is getting shot up and it's a poor house, you'll still be able to rent it out. I live in a metropolis, currently a city metropolis, and I'm telling you right now, like, one of my guys, he has a house across the way. The dude owns like something like 60 properties. He's a slumlord, right? The property that he has was condemned by the city, or not necessarily condemned, but it was like red flagged for a whole bunch of issues. And honestly, he shouldn't have been renting it out. However, he was still getting $800 a month from people, and people would rent it out. The house was a total a shithole. It was just a shithole, falling apart, everything. And he still constantly always had somebody in it paying rent.
That's crazy. I believe, but you're right though, because people need places to live. Not everybody, wants to be homeless. Most people, I'd say, don't want to be homeless, so they're going to go where they can go.
100%. So prioritize. So do this. Prioritize. Get uncomfortable. And because what this dude ended up doing was he now has all this money. So his mortgage is paid for, and he's making extra income. You just roll the snowball. It's like rolling a snowball for a snowman. It just starts to build and build and bigger, quicker, faster. So take the money, buy another property. Do the same thing or something different. Shoot, rent that whole house out. It doesn't matter, but you have to be willing to get uncomfortable, though.
Yeah.
Dude was uncomfortable for a year living with other roommates. That might not be ideal. You know what I'm saying? Maybe you want to walk around the house naked, and that's not an option. However, he got uncomfortable for the bigger picture. So stop thinking today, stop thinking this month, stop thinking next month, and start thinking next year, 5 years.
Yeah, well, but the whole uncomfortable thing too is your uncle is the one who said it. He was in a bad situation living with your grandma, and he was like, "It's so fucking hot in my room. I could put an AC in the window." And I was like, "Well, why don't you?" And he was like, "Because then I'll be comfortable. I'll stay here longer. If I'm uncomfortable, I'll put more
Pisses
effort.
them off that much more
Yeah.
to want to get the fuck out of there.
And that shit stuck with me. Like, holy
Yes.
fuck, I get that. That makes sense
Leave it
to
that
me.
way, so it pisses you off more.
Yeah, because eventually you're gonna get tired of it.
How hard did you grind when you were broke?
Oh my god.
How hard do you grind now?
Not even close.
And I'm not trying to call you out because I'll be honest,
No,
that's something
yeah.
I'm guilty for.
No, I 100% because like you.
And I still will though. Like if I come to a point now where I need money, like motherfucker, I'll bust my balls. You bet your ass I will have that money.
Absolutely.
And it's like I don't know if dude, you're right. Like if I had that mentality all the time instead of once every 6 months when I got myself in that position, I wouldn't ever be in that position. Like, oh boy.
Yeah, you get content and you get comfortable.
So there's always have a job, whether until you don't need to have a job. Like you've got to have something. A lot of people coin the phrase, let the day job pay for the side hustle or whatever. But utilize what you can and the tools that you can to build upon it. Go get knowledge. Go do skills instead of sitting down and just watching Netflix, binging out, drinking a beer. Sit down and watch Netflix and or YouTube videos on how to use Photoshop. We also now live in a time and place where we can connect with others and make money. I mean, there's dollar bills to be plucked all over the place. If you can do Photoshop, I mean, I don't know how many times I've got somebody in my DMs asking if they can go ahead and do a Photoshop edit for $5-10 for me.
Yeah.
He's doing it for a reason.
Yeah. That's just quick, easy money, especially if you know what the fuck you're doing and it only takes you 5 minutes. That's $5-10 that you just made in 5-10 minutes. Whereas in some
Break
people,
that down to hourly, like that's
some motherfuckers make
$70 or $80 an hour. Like
$9 an hour. You just did that in 5 minutes.
Stop. This is the other thing. Stop buying liabilities and start buying assets. So one of the investors had told me about a book called Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And I read the book, and the book is pretty much how I was already living my life, right? And the moral of the book is you've got assets and you have liabilities. So assets are things that make you money. Liabilities are things that don't make you money and they cost you money. So when you go buy your brand new iPhone 12 or whatever, what does that do for you? Anything? You just dropped $1,000. Is that making you any money?
It depends how you're using it. Because it could be considered an asset, or unless you're just fucking using it because you're getting on Facebook and taking I mean, even still, you can consider that an asset because if you're connecting with people and you're posting in Instagram, gaining a
See, I
following.
look at it as you use it every single day. Like that's how I look at it as like a phone, like a bed. My bed, I use it every day. I have a nice bed. Like I don't know, so that's how I justify that. But I see what the point that you're trying to go with.
Okay, maybe the new big flat screen TV. Do you need a 70-inch TV?
No, absolutely not.
I was just debating on buying a new TV this Black Friday, literally last night. I've had my TV for 12 years, and it's like, every year for the last 5 years, I tried to justify buying a new one, and I can't. Like, the thing works mint. I have zero issues with it. But, like, it's not the newest, baddest. They have the nice, and it's just like, man, I use it every day. I look at it every day, but it's like, what am I going to do with the old one? There's nothing wrong with it.
And that's what it is. So you got to get in the mindset. Now, you should treat yourself from time to time. So maybe you're doing well and you're in a position where you're like, I want to reward myself. I want something nice. I do watch TV. I feel like I deserve this TV. 100%. I'm not going to take that away from you. However, when you're doing nothing but you're habitually doing things like upgrading to a new phone. I have a Note 8. A Note 8. We're on like Note 21. I have a Note 8 and I just upgraded from the Note 4 like 2 years ago, right? The Note 4 from 2013. And to be totally honest, on the Note 8, yeah, it doesn't have the best camera, but I literally shot a music video with this phone.
Yeah,
and
that's the thing.
The Note 8.
You don't need the newest, fanciest thing to make it an asset. Like I was saying, like you can still socialize. YouTube is still a thing on that. You can still learn shit on that. You can still connect with people. And you don't have to spend $1,200 on a new phone, every 2 years for it to continue to be an asset. At that point, then it's like you said, it's a liability. You're just spending money because you want the new thing.
So if you change your mindset and your mentality, instead of buying maybe a new pair of shoes that you really don't need, why don't you buy a 3D printer in which you can start manufacturing your own stuff at home and sell on Etsy or create your own website and start selling it on Etsy and your website. And you're already on the Instagram anyway. Once again, this comes back to, are you a creator or a consumer? Like, are you on the Instagram watching everybody else and viewing all the ads where they're pushing stuff to you? Or are you pushing ads to people making money?
Damn. I'm a consumer.
like honestly,
I'm a
so
little bit of both.
and that's fine, because I personally am a little bit of both as well, because I think you do have to consume to a certain extent to understand what your market is, what other fish are swimming, what's the current climate. But at the same time, like your podcast, for example, I don't know if you guys have an Instagram or not, but if you were to take the time that you would scroll those little Instagram reels or the tiki-talkie videos of the cute little promiscuous girls dancing, and instead invested that time into your podcast and going on to other people's profiles and commenting and connecting with people, what do you think the results would be?
It's going to be better. I've said that before with social media. Like, if we're going to use it, we're going to use it like it's supposed to be used. And we have an Instagram, but like we post a picture to it, and then post and ghost, and then that's it. And it's not utilizing the platform. But whereas I'm not talking shit to Nick, but like I do 95% of everything involved in the podcast. And the last thing I want to do is when I come home is sit on fucking social media and talk to a bunch of people I don't know. Like I don't like talking to people as it is, which is weird because I'm on a podcast talking to people I don't know.
Yeah.
But
don't even know their name.
Yeah, don't even know their name. Exactly. It's just full of anxiety. Like, I'm about to talk to this guy for like an hour to 2 hours, and I don't even know his fucking name. But there's so much, and I want to say that Gary, whatever the hell his name is, it's always on Facebook cussing and yelling at people, and he's some like... Gary, yeah, he's always like, there's so much to do on Instagram, and you can build a brand on Instagram alone just talking to people. And he's right. Like, you can do that shit, but, it takes time, and... It's really not hard to do. Yeah, it's consistency is what it comes down to, and just continuing to do it.
We're not like super consistent people. Like, we go balls to the walls, and then we just kind of fall off for a little while. Like, I don't know. A lot of shit I've done in my life. Like, right now, I'm getting into glass blowing. Like, that's what I've been doing, balls to the walls. And I haven't sold anything. And, like, Chance, he's been getting on me. Oh, dude, you need to do this. My buddy Paul, getting on me. You need to do this. You need to sell that. And it's just like, dude, I don't know. You're now one of the other people that, like, I don't know. A lot of what you're saying has been speaking to me. And, like, I feel bad because Chance has probably said exactly verbatim what you have said to me. And, like, I feel bad because I haven't been listening to him. Like, I don't know. Like, I'm not capitalizing on so much shit.
Show me your friends and I'll show you your future. Like, it's I live by, like, cliche quotes. Like, my whole life is filled with them. I drop them on everybody constantly, but they hold a lot of truth. So your circle group, like, if you hang out with a bunch of people that just want to fuck off all day, they're going to distract you. They're going to keep you fucking off, right? You want people that'll hold you accountable. So in my mind, Chance is awesome for doing that to you. And granted, that might be like, yeah, he's a pain in the ass. All he ever wants to do is hit me up. But he wants better for you, and he's trying to push you in that direction. That's awesome.
Oh, absolutely.
So that's a benefit.
Oh, yeah.
But the other aspect to it is goes back to the whole 16 families. So is Chance willing to, like, help you out maybe and take some of the load? Like, okay, awesome. Yeah, I should sell some of this glass. Like, what kind of deal can we work? Because I totally believe, like, I'd love to sit down with you guys at the table to eat and share 50% of the pie versus having no pie at all.
Absolutely.
So could you do that with Chance? Is Chance somebody that, like, you're totally right. I'll blow the glass. Can you help set me up? Can you help maybe bring the sales in the doors and I'll fulfill them?
All it would take is me to pull the trigger and say yes. Like, yeah, that's what I didn't know. I'm just getting into it. So I'm maybe 3 months in. Just 3 or 4 days ago, I just bought my own torch. I've been using my own buddies. Me and him went in and went halves on everything to start because it was too expensive for either one of us to do it together. And now we're at a point to where, like, I'm able to keep with my normal job, pay for the stuff in my hobby to a point where I'm able to have my own stuff now. But we're still in the same place, using the same exhaust system, the same kiln. But now I have my own torch and my own glass. So, like, I have a lot of stuff that I can sell. I just I want to perfect it. I want to get good enough to where I feel comfortable selling it. Like, I don't know. I don't feel like I'm there yet.
You're comfortable.
I'm getting there.
And doing all the other stuff's uncomfortable, right? Like, opening the sales is uncomfortable.
it's just more to do. I work 54 hours a week. I come home, I blow glass
Well, and
afterwards.
that's-
Like, it's just that much more to do. And
Well,
it's
that's what
like,
you're
not
saying.
that I can't do it. I can do it. I do. Like you're saying, it's the comfortable part. I'm comfortable with going home, going after work, making myself slightly uncomfortable to blow glass, and then go home. Like, I'm tired. It's 10 o'clock at night. I got to be back up at 7 o'clock in the morning for work. And then I fuck off on my phone for about an hour, hour and a half before I go to bed. Like, so that's what I'm saying. I'm a little bit of both. Sometimes I fuck off and don't do shit. Other times I'm out fucking, doing something, learning something, doing something new. Like, I don't know. I need to do it more often. I need that push. I need to do it.
And outsourcing, I'm telling you, like outsourcing is a beautiful thing, and being able to partner with other people to pick up, like you said, I don't have very much time. I enjoy glass blowing, and if I take it to the next level, I might not enjoy it and I might get turned off from it. Okay, so who's good with selling stuff? Who could help you do that part where you still get to do what you enjoy, but you're also making money at it?
That's funny because I was just talking to a friend, like, hey, I gave her one, and all her friends love it. And oh my God, where'd you get that? And it's like, hey, I'll give you a whole bunch. You sell them for 40. I want 30. You keep 10 or whatever we can work out. Like I was
All day.
just talking to someone about that. So that might be the route.
And then there's multiple ways to monetize it, though. Like, you don't have to sell you don't even have to sell your pieces to make money. If you honestly, like, we live in a weird age, once again, the consumer. So like you said, coming home from work, I want to decompress. I want to just kind of mindless, just numb, and I want to watch something. Well, maybe I'm watching you blow glass for an hour.
You can monetize the video. Yeah, absolutely.
Live streams, monetize a video, the process. Everybody loves the process. Everybody, it goes back to, well, do what I say. Well, I want to know why. I want to know behind it. I want to understand it. Is glass blown? Like, this beautiful glass piece is awesome. So you got an Instagram where you're showing me all these beautiful glass pieces. That's cool. That's cool. Beautiful glass piece. Beautiful glass piece. But then now you got videos of you making it, and it's like, whoa, this is super awesome. I'm sharing this. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, see, I'm not a big social media person. He does all our social media. I don't do it. I don't just, I spend too much time on it fucking around, and that's my issue. I get distracted. Like, I don't know, I try to stay off of it as much as I can, but, like, I suck myself into it all the time, so I don't know. I've never gotten into it. I don't know how it all works. I just use it every once in a while.
It's the struggle. And you just got to recognize where you're at and struggling at, and then find a way to plug that hole or to put somebody there to do that for you.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's here again what Chance keeps talking about. Outsource it. Find someone to do it for you then, to where you can still make the money off of it, but not do it yourself. It's like, damn, like, I don't here again, like, you and him are one and the same.
No, I connect with Chance because Chance is young. He's younger than me, and he reminds me of how I was at that age. Like, I was running around at 21 trying to get companies started and figuring out how I could buy this car wash and how I could do X, Y, Z, like trying to figure out all this stuff. And Chance has got the same thing. I still have it. And Chance is ahead for sure. He's further ahead than me. Like, I took sandbags in life that I don't think Chance has had. Like, Chance doesn't have a kid. That's definitely a big sandbag. My God, like, definitely a big sandbag. And I'm not throwing any shade at anybody for it. We all have our battles. We get the cards that we're dealt. It's all on how we play them. But Chance is definitely, he's coming together and he's shaping stuff up. He's got the knowledge and he's trying to do a lot. And that people like that, like, I want to keep Chance around me.
Yeah, no,
I want that.
Yeah, no, it was irritating as fuck at first because, like, he was never, hey man, what are you doing? Oh, I'm doing this or I'm doing, and it's every time he was doing something else, and it's like, dude, like, I don't see you, I don't talk to you. We used to play Xbox, but, like, I can't knock the hustle. You can never ever knock the hustle, no matter what you're doing. I don't give a fuck if you're working at the gas station or you're a CEO. You can't knock the hustle.
No, 100%, 100%.
So
Yeah,
like, it was irritating, but, like, can't knock it, man. You're out there, you're hustling, you're bustling, you're doing something. So, like, it was. I gotta bust his balls every once in a while, but, like, he's doing something, doing more than me. Fuck you, he's doing more than me. Who am I to talk shit?
And I like to tell girls, like, when I was dating, it was like, hey, just to be up for it and honest, like, you're either with a busy man or you're with a broke man.
absolutely.
And I'm fixing to be broke.
Yeah, no, and that's like you said. I'm just as old as you, and at Chance's age, when I first met him to now, like, I had that hunger then. And then I got a union job, and I kind of set myself up, and I don't, not necessarily that I don't have that hunger. Obviously, I'm still creating. We created this podcast, but it's not to that level. that it used to be. And
It used to be all we did. I mean, every weekend we were building something or doing. I mean, even we built our own go-kart. We built a stage to have a fucking show in our garage, and like just all types of. We're always doing something, but like we do it for fun, not to make money.
Yeah,
and like
and
that's we do so much shit,
and that's
just
where,
to enjoy it for the memory. And it's like, dude, like all the shit we could have been making something on. Even if we didn't break even, we still got a return on it, and it didn't cost us as much as it did.
And that's where Chance, he sees dollar signs, and I think that's a great thing. It's just,
that's where we always butt heads with him.
Yeah.
We want to do it for fun and just to have fun. Like, fuck it. Your money means nothing at the end of the day. It's a piece of paper you could wipe your ass with. But you need it. You know, in this day and age, everyone upholds it to be something and you need it. And that's where he comes in. And he's always about the money and we're not. So it's always button heads. Always. So
I mean, my whole thing, because I definitely get where you guys are coming from, but my thing is like things like the vacation and the experiences. Like it for me, it's very depressing to think that we devote the majority of our time to working for somebody else, for us to come home, not really be able to spend any quality time with our family. There's so much in life that there's so many foods, so many places, so many activities, like skydiving, like
and everything.
Like, and you can't do it. You can barely afford to live. Like, there's got to be something more. And for me, like, money's that vehicle to allow me to go do things and to experience things and make memories with people.
Absolutely. So why not? You know, and that's where, you know, like Chance says, like, if you're doing good, there's people here. Why are you not capitalizing on that? You know, like, you're being stupid by not making money off of something that you could absolutely be making money off of. That's
and still enjoy it.
And still having the experience, and then also being able to continue to do that experience because now you can afford it. It's its own machine, whereas you're paying for it out of pocket. Now you don't have to. It's paying for itself.
Absolutely. And I love what you guys are doing. Like, obviously, y'all are still getting out there hustling. Like, undeniably. Like, the podcast is dope. And honestly, I've looked into a podcast. I helped a buddy of mine. He used to be a rapper. He's been on MTV. Like, dude was a rapper. He's open for a bunch of big names. He's got some features with some big names. Jelly Roll. You ever heard of Jelly Roll?
I love Jelly Roll. Welcome to the trap house, son.
If you speak 0.2 on every gram he's selling,
You get 8.5 out of every 11.
it's out of every 7.
Whatever.
You are
Yeah,
not good with numbers.
He's got a feature with Jelly Roll. Jelly Roll is a feature on one of his hits. And then he ended up joining the military. And then I hooked up with him, and he was like, "Yeah, I really like enjoy that stuff. I want to get back into it." So I hooked up with him, and we ended up getting his YouTube monetized, a whole bunch of stuff. Have you ever heard of Forgiato Blow?
No.
He big rapper. He's made a name. He's out of Florida. He's made a name now going for like the whole Trump thing. But he's a big name. There's some other people that are in the country hip hop scene that he's like built relations with, and he's honestly at a point like where he could definitely pop, but he's comfortable. So like he does stuff and he makes a little bit of money, but he could be making more. And that's the thing. Like, you know what I'm saying? And so I looked into podcasts with him because his entryway was like reaction videos. So he does a bunch of reaction videos, and that's what was able to help him monetize. And create content, because it's easy to find content and base it off of other people. And for some people, reaction videos do it. For people, I don't know.
The hottest fucking thing ever.
Yeah, I
don't understand it.
I mean,
Yeah,
I don't get it.
From 10 years ago that only got 50,000 views, and now they're 1 million views because someone else watched it and said something over it.
That's
like, it makes no sense to me. Sense.
That's a big problem with us too, because people are like, "You guys are hilarious. You guys need to do content like this." But me personally, I feel like that has no substance at all. I need to create something that has substance, that has value to me. If I'm not creating something that has value to me, I'm not doing it. It serves no purpose to me. And that's another thing that Chance gets on me for, because he's like, "Yeah, but motherfucker, like, this is what's going to get you to do those other things." And I get that, but it's just so hard for me to sit down and watch a stupid video on YouTube like, "Yeah, okay, this is cool." Like, it's not going to be genuine reactions because, one, I don't want to fucking be there, and two, this seems pointless to me. So, like, why would I even do it?
No, and that's something that I've struggled because I'm a different individual, and like in marketing, for example, like it's taken me the ability to remove myself and put myself somewhere else and understand from other people, like, why would I do this? Because it's not going to work for me. Like, I'm not the guy. But I'm not my demographic.
Yeah.
And so you got to kind of, but podcasts can make bank. Like, from what I understand, like, it's not uncommon to have podcasts pull based on downloads and views and history. Like, you can, and it's residual income as well. Because obviously, as you get new subscribers and new users, right, they're going to go back and listen to the more podcasts, which, more views, right? But they have people making $50,000 for a podcast, easy off the rip.
Yeah, no, and that's one thing I talked about with a woman last weekend on the podcast is, like, there's some podcasters that start and they're getting like 50,000 downloads an episode. First of all, I don't know how the fuck you did that. We got like 20 views on our first one, so props to you. But yeah, and then they get sponsors and they're just making this money off the bat, and it's like, man, I don't see that outlet right now because obviously we're not doing it. We're steadily growing, and we're focusing more on the relationships with the people that we talk to. Like, I gain more from that than monetizing shit, and I feel like it has more worth in my life and makes me better. And I think in the long term, it's going to provide better for the podcast in itself, if that makes sense.
Well, just like you were saying, you listen to podcasts and take little nuggets out of every one. We do podcast and talk to people and take nuggets out of every one. Like, it's just reversed, like, I don't know, that's kind of why we started it to begin with. It has a good time and just kind of talk to people, and hear people's stories, I guess, is really what it came down to, and grab something from every one. I mean, I could tell you each one I've grabbed one little thing from every podcast and applied it to my life. And like where I'm at now to where we started now, like a year ago, like it's tenfold. Like,
so there's and I was super stoked. Like, I talked to Chance about it. I was like, so part of this part, like, I like experiences. I like being able to put things under my belt, say I've done them. I'd like to try it. So I actually took out a radio ad at one point in time for a business, and I was actually on the radio, and it was the trippiest thing, driving down the road, listening to the radio station, and then hearing yourself. Like, it was, it was so cool. So cool. And podcasters are super awesome. I like podcasts, and I had mentioned to Chance, I was like, yeah, I would be a podcast one day. I think it would be cool to do that, right? He was like, actually, I could hook you up. I know somebody, blah, blah, blah. So he shared the podcast. I dug in, listened to a couple episodes. The first one was the episode with Steven, because dude's a trip.
Yeah,
and
he was shaking on the podcast.
I listened to it on Spotify. I didn't get to watch it, so I'll have to go back and watch it.
Oh, you can
but there's
see him. Fucking...
He's just... That's awesome.
He was so nervous for whatever reason.
He's such a genuine guy. I love Steven.
Yeah. Oh, yeah,
Great guy.
But there's this podcast I ended up stumbling upon, and it's called the Concrete Podcast. I don't know if it's all right to, like, I guess, plug somebody else in. I have no affiliation with them. But it's Concrete with a K, and it's these two guys out of Florida. They created a podcast, and what really made them pop was they got this guy somewhat fresh out of prison, and he had gone in for bank fraud. He has his own episode on American Greed. They put really cool people on the podcast that are like Joe Blows, like they're normal people. It's not like celebrities, you know what I'm saying, like Joe Rogan's. And it's just like real stuff. I think now that they've got larger, they're able to pull other people. Like, they had some guy that was apparently one of the largest cocaine runners or whatever, and his story's just awesome. It's crazy. You got to listen to it if you haven't. But they got this guy named Matthew Cox, which had done fraud, and having him alone on the podcast blew up not only Concrete Podcast, but blew up Matthew Cox. They have him on there all the time, and it's actually stemmed to now, I think maybe he has a podcast that he's working on. They got him a YouTube and XYZ, and he was doing YouTube videos, but like, there's so much chance. Like, I love the same thing. Like, I love the podcast, the opportunity to talk to people, learn, and then you never know what's going to happen as far as like growth.
Yeah.
Like, having somebody like myself on the podcast, all of a sudden, next thing you know, I make y'all huge, and hand in hand, now I'm big too, because now I got a whole bunch of publicity from you guys.
Yeah, well,
it's a value.
Yeah,
it's a huge add value.
I think something about the podcast too what made me inclined to even have the idea is, one, our friends told us we were funny and we should do it, and two, like, we always, me personally, I always had this obsession with with interesting people. Like I wanted to be able. I don't know if you've ever seen the movie Blow, but it's with Johnny Depp. Yeah, George Young. I've told him 1,000 times. Like I wish I could have sat down with him in a room and just heard his experiences. And like I tried getting a hold of Charles Manson when he was alive in prison, and everybody's like, "That's the weirdest shit. Why would you do that?" And it's like,
No,
but like,
dude, that's
that man has like shit in his head that I want to know about. Like, yeah, it may seem weird to you, but like, dude, that man has
what
done
makes
some
you
shit.
tick the way that you tick.
Yeah, like what?
I don't know.
Yeah, like I don't know.
How fast does your clock spin?
I
I
wanna-
don't know. Why?
I just want to hear stories like that, and I want to hear from people. And I may not necessarily like talking to people, but fuck, I'll listen to you because, motherfucker, why did you do this? What led you to do this? Like, I want to know those things, and I've just always thought it would be super interesting to sit down with people. Unfortunately, I never got the chance to with George Young, but like I love the fucking movie Blow. You know, maybe one day I'll have the opportunity to talk to Johnny Depp, who starred in the movie, and because I'm sure, you know, he has some insight on that type of shit. But like, I just think there's so much value in hearing people's experiences. I really do.
And the way that they perceive life through their own eyes, like hearing your story and the way you look at things through your eyes versus the way I look at things through my eyes. Like, I don't know, it just, I don't know, adds a little value to life and the way that you look at things, I guess. You know, just
changes your perspective.
Yeah. You know, able to stand in other people's shoes, you know? I don't know, just...
And pull nuggets like, oh, I like what you said there. I like how you look at things. I feel like that might be able to benefit me in some way. Maybe I'm going to start trying to do things that way. No, 100%.
Yeah.
I've always loved talking to people and just understanding. Just like you said, like, why did you do the 100%? Like, I'm on the same page. Like, you summed it up and articulated it very well.
Oh, thank you. I'm pretty good with words. But we have been going for 2 hours, and this is the longest one we've done in a long time. And I really
Jesus.
I don't want to stop because it's so good, but that just means we can have you back on to talk more. But absolutely, thank you for coming on. Obviously, it was great. You gave us so much information. We would love to have you back on if you want to. Next time, hopefully, we can get your gun and your graffiti in more.
No, absolutely. I've had a blast. That's just mind blowing. That, yeah, golly, yeah. It's been,
Yeah, no, like you lose like a sense of time when you're in here and you just get involved in the conversations, and like sometimes like not talking shit about other guests, but you get to like a point after like an hour where you like notice like, okay, like the conversation's getting stale, we can end here. But like there's been a couple people, you, our buddy now Austin, and Friday, who are glass blowers, like we didn't want to stop, but I think now it's just we can do it again. You know, there's nothing saying we can't do it again.
No, 100%. Like, I look forward to connecting with y'all more. Like, I appreciate the opportunity to come on a podcast, even if it's not Joe Rogan's or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's awesome. It's an experience. I get to say I'm on a podcast, and hell, I'll be able to pull it up on Spotify and be like, "Yo, you can listen to my podcast." Like, this is sick. Like, it's super titty.
Yeah, wait till you go back and listen to it and hear yourself on recording. It's the weirdest thing ever. It took me months to get used to it.
I sound like shit. I hate how I sound.
Yeah, no, but
No.
You know, if there's anyone you find interesting, we'd love to talk to them and get to know them, but just please let us know their name, because that gave me like anxiety through the fucking roof not knowing your name.
No. Absolutely, and I look forward to doing it again. Like, I'd love to come back on, and I've got so much more.
Good. We have so much time, so we're good here. It works out perfectly. But thank you. We're gonna go eat some fucking pierogies, I guess, and go to some weird fucking festival where all of our friends are at. Hopefully Chance isn't there, because I don't want to see him.
Hell yeah. Well, I'll connect with you guys offline a little deeper. I'll definitely make sure I drop a follow or whatever on the glass blowing and connect with that. Would love to see some of that.
I haven't
And
Haven't even started
we go
that
from
yet.
there.
haven't done any of that yet, so...
Well, send me some pictures. That'll be a start.
Absolutely, will do. Well, thank you again for coming on. Appreciate all the knowledge you gave us, and we look forward to doing this again.
Absolutely. Talk to you guys soon.
Yep,
All right, take it
absolutely.
easy.
Bye.
Oh! And my ass hurts.